Family ni poni audio na macam tu lah. Nanti apa itu? Ya, nanti sudah banyak musim. Oh, so I cannot use Zoom from there. Cannot. Boleh tengok the comments. Can I see the comments? In the middle? No, the camera. Yeah.
Focus for the speaker.
But the camera has to also focus on me when I'm speaking. So, okay. Okay.
Before there's audience.
That's basically the wide angle for the whole room. So that's why I was getting confused. Easier that way, right?
It's for and you can do them.
Okay. So the speakers will be speaking from. Yeah. We distributed the folders, right? Already. So the participants have to check that. It's like today are there on top lah. How did you find? Okay, test. Test. Okay, I think it's time. I think right. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dear professors, lecturers, researchers, colleagues, and students, welcome to the 8th International Symposium on Islamic Education, Islamic Economics and Finance Education. Let's start this symposium with the recitation of Kitab Surah Al-Fatiha, followed by a short dua by Dr. Aslam.
اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى ال سيدنا محمد وسلم عليه. اللهم انا نسالك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى. اللهم انا نسالك رضاك والجنه ونعوذ بك من سخطك والنار. اللهم اصلح لنا ديننا الذي هو عصمه امرنا، واصلح لنا دنيانا التي فيها معاشنا، واصلح لنا اخرتنا التي اليها معادنا. اللهم اجعل الحياه زياده لنا في كل خير، واجعل الموت راحه لنا من كل شر. اللهم اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا مباركا مرحوما، واجعل تفرقنا من بعده تفرقا مباركا معصوما، ولا تجعل فينا ولا معنا شقيا ولا مطرودا ولا محروما. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنبنا ووسع لنا خلقنا وطيب لنا كسبنا وقنعنا من عذابك ولا تزغ قلوبنا. ربنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الابرار. ربنا واتنا ما وعدتنا على رسلك ولا تخزنا يوم القيامه انك لا تخلف الميعاد. صلى الله على خير خلقه محمد وعلى اله وصحبه اجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Okay, Jazakallahu khair for that dua, Dr. Aslam. I am Riyasat Amin, lecturer at the Department of Economics at the International Islamic University, Malaysia. I'll be moderating this session and as well as the master of ceremony for the symposium. First and foremost, we, the Federation members and the Center for Islamic Economics, are extremely grateful to IFIEFE, all right? And we'd like to express our gratitude to IFIEFE for hosting this symposium alongside their 6th IFBBE conference. And it's an honor to be in the presence of so many greats, many of whom personally have mentored me, and many of whom we will also hear from today. Owing to the little time we have, right, allow me to jump straight in. Let me start by providing an outline of the schedule for today. This symposium is composed of 3 sessions. The first session focuses on the quality of our graduates and our curriculum. This is going to be a 90-minute session, right, composed of 5 speakers. The second session focuses on developing an action plan for the Federation. Basically, we're talking about basic strategy and key activities. This session will be for about 80 minutes. Again, we have 5 speakers for this session. The third session is really a short one, okay? And it's about the resolution of the 7th International Symposium on Islamic Education and Finance, Islamic Economics and Finance Education. And this will be, this session will be managed by Prof. Aslam. So before we start the actual sessions, allow me to lay down a few house rules for the oncoming sessions. Kindly keep your phones and gadgets on silent mode, and be vigilant about your microphone staying off during the presentations if you are online, at least until the Q&A session starts, okay? To those of you attending online, kindly keep the comments focused on the discussion at hand. Often some of the good questions get drowned out just by the simple highs and byes. So I will try my best to monitor the chat as much as possible so that, you know, we can bring those into the discussion if needed. Okay, so let's start with session 1 then. So exactly what are we all here for, right? We know that Islamic economics and finance has been stuck for a while when it comes to structural change. The good news is that despite almost 50 years, almost 50 years since the first Islamic economics and finance conference in Makkah, the good news is the ideals still remain strongly embedded amongst IEF scholars, researchers, and practitioners, right? Our intentions are good. Unfortunately, we are not dealing with the problem in a holistic manner, whereas a lot of finger pointing is leveled at the industry or the practitioners, right? We easily forget that the industry follows the market, and that it is often the consumers and the regulatory authority that are also not sufficiently exposed to Islamic values. And we all know that, you know, for everything to work, we need 2 hands to clap. And so this is why the Federation and the symposium targets education development specifically, right? The idea is to instill values and institutional change. So let me move or introduce at least our first speaker, right? And our first speaker is none other than Prof. Gairu Zazmi, Professor Gairu Zazmi Makhani, the Dean of the Kuliah of Economics and Management Sciences. Professor Gairu Zazmi is like the jack of all trades and master of many, as he is involved in theoretical and applied economic research in different areas, including international trade, sustainable development, and big data. He obtained his PhD in political economy and public policy from the University of Southern California, along with his other degrees. Professor Gairu Zazmi has held several key admin positions, including the Director of Student Admission and Records at IIUM. His most recent project is lead consultant to the Economic Planning Unit of Malaysia and the UNDP to develop a roadmap for Malaysia's development. Prof. Gary, if you're ready, I think it's probably best you speak from here, or the slides, or okay. Just face that camera and
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, so thank you for receiving us. Thank you, Prof. Mansur, Insaf, for receiving the group from IUM to have this symposium. I think this I've been presenting this to this symposium for some time. We have looked at academic curriculum, detail of what other courses have being taught, okay, or what type of courses that have in the curriculum for different universities all over the world, okay, with regard to Islamic economics and finance curriculum. So what I'm going to do today is a little bit different, okay, rather than looking at the Islamic economic curriculum, the detail of the different departments. But today I'm going to talk about the curriculum of the International Islamic University, University Malaysia, IUM. Okay, so that's why what you see over there is the what we call the Sejahtera academic framework. Okay, so this is the curriculum framework, not just for economic, but for all the student in the university. Okay, the curriculum that student have to follow. Okay, so these are the what we are going to be looking at today. And another thing that we're going to be looking at, I think last week or 2 weeks before, we have done a survey to about the people who participate in this certificate in Islamic economics online courses that was organized in collaboration with IIIT, the Department of Economics, the Center for Islamic Economics, and IIIT. We have almost thousands of participants during the certificate program. Okay, and we have the participant in the certificate program to answer some surveys with regard to academic curriculum. Okay. Okay, so if let's say you go to the IUM in Gombak, you are going to see this in a lot of places. Okay, what we call the Sejahtera academic framework. This framework was mooted about 3-4 years ago. Okay, and currently the universities the academic programs, both undergraduate and postgraduate program, are following this framework. And why is it that we come up with this framework? Okay. Yeah, I think everyone already know about IR 4.0. Okay, and what we see over there, the evolutions of industrial revolution from the first revolutions. Now we are talking about most probably we are talking about fourth industrial revolution, talking about robots, talking about AI, talking about big data. Okay, but we also need to think about the future, which is the fifth revolutions. Okay, where the heart is going to be very, very important. Okay, rather than just mechanizations. So when we talk about robot, okay, later on robots we may have their own mind, okay, where people in AI is going to come up with different type of algorithm. So the question now is, who are the one who's going to write the algorithm? Okay, is it the West going to write the algorithm, or we are going to be the one writing the algorithm? Because okay, the one who are writing the algorithm are the one that is going to be leading the world. Okay, we are the one that's going to set the standard. We are the one that's going to be the one writing the algorithm for those robots. Okay, for those robots. Okay, we say that they are thinking, but we are the one who make them think. Okay, we are the one who make them think. If we are the one who write the algorithm, okay, we are the one that tell them how they think. Okay, you are talking about the West, when they talk about SDG, when they talk about gender equality and everything, they are going to write gender equality in that in the robot, in the algorithm. Okay, and their definition of gender equality is going to be different from our definition of gender equality. Maybe their definition of Islamic economy is going to be different from our definition of Islamic economy. So that's why when we talk about when we talk about these industrial revolutions, we are moving into this fifth industrial revolution. So because we are moving to this fifth industrial revolution, so that's why the university IIUM coming up with this suggested academic framework in order to tackle what is going to happen in the what's going to happen in the future. Okay, so that's why later on in the fifth revolutions we are going to talk about the integration over there you can see a cyborg. So maybe we are going to have cyborg. Okay, sometime in the future. So how the cyborg is going to change is going to be up to us then to come up, okay, with the standards. Okay. But if we think about what we are having currently, okay, we think about the education models that we have currently in most countries. Okay, even though we are also talking about all this fourth industrial revolution, most universities or most schools are still having this sit-down exam. Most schools are still factories, okay, where everyone's going to be studying the same thing, memorizing the same thing, and answering the same thing. Okay, so that's what we are trying to. That's what we need to change, and that's what the university is trying to. That's what the university is trying to change. We are trying to give a heart to these models of education. Okay, so we don't want our students to become robots. Okay, because if our students become robots later on, when the robots become better, okay, then we are going to be kicked away from the factories. Okay, so Karl Marx have been talking about this a long time ago. Okay, so that's the important when we talk about education. Okay, we need to think about education with regard to the heart and soul of the students. Okay, rather than having the student trying to memorize, trying to do mechanical thing. In fact, if we are talking about the accounting curriculum, okay, in Malaysia, in accounting curriculum, you can either go straight to the professional and take the professional exam, or you can go to the university. Okay, after finishing university, then you take the professional exam. And most of the time, the accounting profession prefer the student who go to the universities rather than student who go straight to and take the professional exam, because they are added values for them to go to the universities. Okay, in terms of critical thinking and other similar things to that. Okay, so for IIUM, so this is our curriculum, the frameworks that we follow, the Sejahtera academic framework, humanizing education for Rahmatan lil Alamin, post COVID-19 disruption. Okay, so we finished this document sometime during the COVID era. Okay, so that's why we are talking about post COVID. Okay, we are talking about rather than talking about building back better, we are talking about building forward better. Okay, we want to look at that. We want to try to lead the futures. Okay, so again back to that. Okay, and with regard to the framework, okay, why is it that we come to this framework? Because because we have to look at it from the Malaysian context. Okay, if you study in the US, then maybe this is something that is not new. Okay, but we are for someone who is studying in Malaysia, who has studied in Malaysia, this maybe most probably is something that is new, because most of the time you're talking about Malaysia, even Indonesia some time ago. Okay, where the structure of the curriculum are very structured. Students come, they already know what they have to take. In fact, they are forced to take what they need to take in the first semester, in the second semester, if they follow the semester system. Okay, even if you are talking about school, Students are forced to take what they have to take, even though sometimes they don't like what they are forced to do. Okay, so here in the Sejahtera academic framework, we have this principle: empowerment, flexibility, innovation, and accountability, where we want to empower the student. In Indonesia, they have the Kampus Merdeka. Okay, so in a way similar to when we talk about the Campus Merdeka, where we have flexibility. Okay, students will be able to control what they want to take. But in the end, they are accountable for what they have taken. Okay, if you are thinking about the US, long time ago, about 10-20 years ago, students can even design their own degree. Okay, Bachelor of ABC, whatever they want, okay, with the guidance of their advisor. Okay, so that's what IIUM is trying to move to. Okay, and we hope that when moving there, they will be able to achieve the national philosophy of education. Education in Malaysia is trying to develop the potential of individuals in a holistic and integrated manner, so as to produce individuals who are intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, and physically balanced and harmonious. Okay, so we are not talking about just employability, okay, but we are talking about trying to nurture the student to become a human being, to become a Muslim human being, to become you are talking about economy, you are talking about to nurture the student to become a Homo economicus. Homo Islamicus, not Homo economicus. Okay, so that's what we are trying to do. Okay, intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, physically balanced and harmonious. And in fact, this is what the country wants. Okay, but the thing is that the countries have moved away from this philosophy. Okay, and we are trying to come back to the national education philosophy. Just a few more minutes. Okay, so in summary, this is our framework. Okay, when we talk about education, it's not just the academic. Okay, it's not just the books that you have to read. Okay, but when we talk about education, it is something that is holistic. We have to look at the whole educational structure in the university. In the end, to achieve what you have in the bottom over there, the falsafah pendidikan kebangsaan, where we talk about down here. Okay, in the end, what we want to achieve is a graduate that is balanced. Okay, and for IIUM, we have this tag, Khalifah, Amanah, Iqra, and Rahmatan lil Alamin, or in short form, it is khair. Okay, so we want a student, we want to nurture a student that is khair, okay, that have the attribute of Khalifah, Amanah, Iqra, and Rahmatan lil Alamin. Okay, and hopefully, okay, we are talking about the in terms of economics curriculum or finance curriculum. That's what we want to achieve in the end. Okay, so these are some of the things that we have done. Okay, one of the things that we have done, like I said before, we have done a simple survey to about students who have taken this certificate of Islamic Economic Program in collaboration with IIIT. We have asked them a few questions. One is, what do you think should be the main objective of Islamic economic and finance education? Okay, so maybe this is some of the things that we have to look at. Yeah, the words that I did not see in their response is maximizations. Okay, I did not see the word utility. Okay, the student who take the course, okay, what they want to achieve is, okay, this is from the word cloud, the words that most often that have the highest frequencies. Okay, they are talking about falah, they are talking about justice, they are talking about in materials, they are talking about ensure morals, talking about sunnah, talking about awareness. Okay, so those are some of the words, yeah, that should be the objective, okay, when we talk about Islamic economic educations. Okay, and these are some of the questions that we ask with regard to how important this. How important is to teach Western economics in an Islamic economic finance program? So most of the response are high. Okay? All these are important. Okay, so because 10 is the most important. 10 is the best. Okay, do you think graduate Islamic finance program employable in labor market? They are employable. If you are in position employing, are you going to employ them? You are going to, the respondents going to employ them. How important is to teach Islamic courses in an Islamic finance program? So Islamic economic is important for Islamic finance. Okay, how important is Islamic finance in Islamic economic program? So it's the same important. Okay, in terms of skill, I think these are the they are asked to list down 3 important skills. So these are the skills: leadership skills, thinking skills, quantitative skills, communication skills, practical skill, need to know quantitative communication, fixed skill. So those are the skills that they think are important. Okay, I think this is the one that is very interesting. Okay, what would be the best way to design Islamic economic finance curriculum? Here we give a choice of A, B, C, D. Teach Western economic course first, and then Islamic economics. 14% say that we need to do that. Teach Islamic economic course first, then Western economic. 33 students say that. Okay, we have to teach Islamic economic courses first. Okay, after that, when we teach the Western courses. 20% say introduce Islamic economics discussion in Western economics courses. Okay, and then the last one, introduce Western economic discussion in Islamic economic courses. So the number in the parentheses 14, 33, 20, and 15 are the respondents say that it should be A, it should be B, or C, or D. And okay, the most respondents, 33 out of about 80, to teach Islamic economic courses first. Then you teach the Western concept. Okay, so I guess that's it. Okay, from us. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, Prof. Khairul Azmi, for that insightful presentation. We're going to be having the question answer session afterwards. Okay, so after the 5 speakers. So if you do have anything pressing or interesting to ask, then just note it down somewhere and you can ask during the Q&A session. Just a reminder that each speaker is allotted 10 minutes, and I'm here to kind of remind you as you speak. So just keep that in mind, because we want to make sure that everyone gets their opinions through. Okay. So thank you very much. Let's move to the second speaker. I now have the pleasure of inviting Prof. Syed Hamid Al Junaid, who is the Deputy Academic President of IFIEFE. Syed Abdul Hamid Al Junaid is a faculty member, the Professional Studies Department of IFIEFE, and he obtained his PhD in 1980 from the University of Wisconsin, USA, and has served in different universities in various administrative capacities. Since 2007, he has been a faculty member of the International Center for Education in Islamic Finance, of course, IFIEFE. Prior to this, he has held several academic and administrative positions. He was the president of University Tun Abdul Razak and the dean of the economics faculty and the director of the management center in IIUM. He also served in key committees and councils such as the IFIEFE, which is the Association of Chartered Islamic Finance Professionals, and the National Advisory Council for the Ministry of Domestic Trade. So plenty of experience in a lot of different domains. And it's our pleasure to invite him here, maybe to speak, or Mike will do.
I have to admit that this is the last minute presentation, so I don't have PowerPoint to present. But at least I can share some of my thoughts on what would be the kind of graduates that you would like to see in the future, especially in the area of Islamic economics and finance. We'd like also to share with you that I was the 13th of IFIEFE. So we don't know, we have so many deeds now. It was good experience working for about 15 years in IFIEFE. And I know there are people whose record longer than more than 15 years. But I would like to give some ideas about where we are actually, you know, in the landscape of Islamic economics and finance since 1980s when we started. So where have the graduates of Islamic economics and finance been? I suppose during those times, we had institutions that were developing in the area of Islamic economics and finance, especially finance, banking, takaful, etc. At that time, graduates were looking for employment. But I think today, I do not see the economic landscape just focusing on employment, because we are flexible now. You can also be employed, can be out of employment, you can be doing a lot of things. So people are moving, you know, there's no such thing as staying in one organization for a long time. But organizations are also changing, you know, the way they do things. So therefore, adaptability is very important. So I just go into 3 steps. One is the product. The other one is the process. And the other one is the final assessment. To say that we have achieved what we have to achieve. So you can see that just now for IIU, we have the vision and we like to see what kind of product. As far as I can see, even in Islamic economics and Islamic finance, you cannot run away from the fact that you still have to participate in the national economic or in the global economic. How Islamic economics knowledge contribute, your contribution of the world affairs is as important as, you know, just talking about the specialization that you have in Islamic economics. Let's be honest to admit that in terms of Islamic economics, the discipline in terms of the theory, the models, etc., we still are in the process of developing our own models. Of course, you know, it used to be the ability to what we call having a good thought process that evaluates things, and then in the back of our mind, we are guided by certain values that will tell us, you know, how to go and where not to go. So, for example, you know, not to be just mindless, you know, following exactly what others are doing is very important. So challenging ideas in the university is very important. The problem with education in the past was that, you know, it was stage on stage, you know, you don't challenge, you only ask questions. But today, we should encourage our students to challenge, because even in the industries now, good organizations, they encourage people to challenge. Good boards, good management require not only cohesiveness, but also a culture where they challenge. Yes. So to train our students, you know, to challenge. I remember in if I'm not mistaken, it was 1993, there was our teaching in IFIEFE, a class, I can't remember which class, it was economics, I think. And most of the students were Malaysian, but there were also international students. And the Malaysian students as usual were very passive. But one international student that really created havoc for the class was somebody from Azerbaijan. I think his name was Mehdi. I don't remember names of students, but this one I cannot forget. And he, you know, he can tell off the lecturer just as long as whatever he feels. A lot of the lecturers were so intimidated. You know, they were, especially the lady lecturers, so intimidated. I don't know whether I remember. But it was very interesting time, because then when immediately after that, I could see the impact, in the class. It just became more active in the participation. So it's a culture. We have to encourage that culture. You don't just come to listen to the lecturer, but you also learn how to challenge. It's okay, to ask stupid questions, but not all questions that are stupid are really bad questions. They are good questions in fact. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is that we need to assess what is the impact of our program, not so much the outcome. Learning outcome, yes, you have learning outcome. You follow learning outcome for your class, but what is the impact? What has been the impact? How can universities measure the impact of their graduates in society? No matter what, so small, it doesn't matter, but the point is that there has to be a mechanism where you what you call collect all the information to see what kind of impact have our students done. And in the economy, for example, now in the context of sustainability, as what impact is that? The purpose of a university is to produce those people who can not only provide value, contribute, but also what kind of impact. Number two, I think the product of university, whether it is Islamic university or any kind, or whether in Islamic economics or not, how do we train them to become reflective and reflexive? No point, having the knowledge, but if you are not reflective, you cannot deal with the changing environment. Now we have a VUCA environment. A VUCA environment is an environment which is volatile, uncertain, complex, and also ambiguous. So if we train our students, to look for the right answer rather than the right thought process, then we are in trouble. I don't think Islamic economics will grow when we have our graduates who are not thinking about developing thought process, but looking for right answer. That's not the way it's going to be. And reflexive here means, who am I? And am I just caught in the wheel? Just becoming an Islamic finance practitioner, but doing almost the same thing in terms of looking at finance as an individual rather than looking at finance as a relation between me and others. What can I do? So this is where I think social finance in Islamic finance can really develop an area which is different from the normal standard of finance. This is one area. So for example, the field is also important. Having practical skills in social finance where you have to do internship or whether you have to learn about entrepreneurship and know about what finance can do to help others rather than finance can do, for yourself. The other one is the cognitive aspect. I think we have to have what we call a mindful kind of person, not mindless. Because a lot of us do things out of habit. A lot of us do things from single perspective. So I think this kind of mindset will definitely contribute to new ideas in Islamic finance because you are no longer doing what is conventional, you're doing something different. It's trying now. So entrepreneurship kind of environment is good. Now, lastly, students need to know the meaning of good work. What is good work? Because we always talk about ethics, etc. Rather than looking at ethics, that becomes so bland. People, what is right, what's wrong. Why not look at the meaning of good work? Somebody mentioned professional, but I think good work here means three things, very important. Number one, good work here means excellence. You try to be the best. And how do we measure excellence? Number two, good work here means being responsible, able to respond to situations. And lastly, good work here means is meaningful and collaborative. If you can teach students, what is good teamwork, what is collaborative work, that can help them. Meaning is almost always the purpose, meaning. This is what I saw here. I think it's very interesting. So it is something that has purpose. So building that value system is very good. Last but not least, the process. The process, how do we go about doing it? Well, facilitation is important, not teaching. I think we have gone over from the stage of teaching to facilitating learning rather than teaching subject. The other one is students, must be learner-centered rather than student-centered. And working together, collaborative learning as well is very important. And projects like action-based learning is something which most universities, to try. They call it mentoring, internship, I don't know what. But these are important things that we can do because we need creative students and students who are prepared to try something new. And we have to start during the university, right from the first year. Then assessment, last but not least. Assessment, I think this concept of assignment that we used to have, exercises, I think need to be expanded. Assessment need to look at how, for example, students evaluate each other. Assessment of collaborative learning, assessment of teamwork, assessment of cohesiveness. That is important. And working with people who are different from us. So I think UIA has got a very good, what do you call that, environment where we work with people who come from different cultures, diversity is very important. So I think the last but not least are the normal things that most universities would have would be the skills. Skills will be teamwork, collaborative skills, communication. One thing I encourage, I think most universities doing economics especially is appreciating what we call synthesizing mindset. What I mean is, actually, we should not just be focusing only on one discipline. Although you are a major in one discipline, or you call it a discipline person, but you need to understand other disciplines. Like, for example, listening just now to one of the discussion pertaining to the issue of laws and dispute resolution in Islamic finance. I think, having what we call synthesizing mind here means you need to know about other disciplines besides your own discipline. Because the ability to work with people from other disciplines is very important. Like, for example, a person who becomes a member of a board of director, he may not be familiar with Sharia, but knowing something about Sharia will make him ask the right question to the Sharia scholars, for example. So I think we need to have a synthesizing mind, encourage, whether or not through credit or whether or not through some other kind of process, but students need to be able to be familiarized with other disciplines. I think that's a very important aspect in order to be good graduates in the area of whether Islamic economics or finance. So technical skills. Nowadays, we are talking about, working through artificial intelligence. So anything that is routine, that is not creative, is going to be taken over by robotics and artificial intelligence. So working with technology is another aspect that most graduates need to be familiarized with. Communication skills is the last one. So I think I've covered through my experience rather than, to anything that we need to rethink about what kind of graduates that we want to have. So I think on that note, thank you very much.
Right. Thank you very much, Prof. Said, for that enlightening discussion. I think we can see a kind of progression here in the discussion, because on the one hand, the first one was about an academic framework, whereas Prof. Said was focusing more on, how do we do an impact assessment, and how do we understand how effective it is, and what is it really leaving a mark. So it's good to see so many points being discussed in that regard. We'll make a slight change to the schedule. The next speaker is supposed to be Dr. Bayu, but he's there. Okay. So the next speaker, please help me invite Dr. Bayu IFIEFE, who is the head of the Islamic Economic Study program at Airlangga University. In addition, Dr. Bayu is the head of the SDG Center at Airlangga University. He has a PhD in finance from the Lincoln University in New Zealand, while his master's in BA is from IIUM. His areas of expertise include Islamic banking and finance, as well as applied econometrics and Islamic monetary economics, where he has several publications, especially in the area of Islamic finance. So without further ado, I'd like to invite him to deliver his presentation and speech. Thank you. I think he's online, right? So, Dr. Bayu? Can you hear us? Yeah, I can see you. Yeah, there's no evidence of him being here. So, he's not there. I mean, I checked that thing a few times. So, I thought maybe he was under a pseudonym or something, but doesn't seem that way. Perhaps we can.
Huh? Different room.
Oh wow.
Oh.
Yeah, okay, I think we just shared that with him.
I asked. Somebody gave me a Zoom link and forwarded it.
Yeah, okay. All right, sorry about that mix up. Seems there's the usual technical problem. Okay. So let me invite then our fourth speaker for the time being. And so I also have the pleasure of inviting Dr. Salman Said Ali, who is the lead economist at the Islamic Development Bank Institute, all right, which is under ISDB. Dr. Salman Said Ali is at the Islamic Development Banking Institute, Islamic Development Bank. His work focuses on multiple areas of Islamic finance and Islamic economics. Currently, he is academic coordinator and involved in change management at ISDBI, as well as the Smart Economy Initiative for Economics and Financial Development. He has developed new expertise in the economics of blockchain, digital assets, as well as AI. So again, a very broad exposure in terms of his research experience and input into the discipline. So without any further delay, Dr. Salman Ali, are you there?
Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Salam. I think so. Yeah, we can see you. Can you try speaking again?
Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me now?
I think we need to increase the
change the
volume.
microphone. Just 1 second.
Can hear you, but very lightly. Let me try and see if we can get a maximum. Okay, Prof, can you?
You hear me now?
Yes, it's much better.
Okay. So, assalamu alaikum, everybody. I was given the topic nurturing quality graduates in Islamic economics and finance. So we have heard earlier speaker a comprehensive discussion. I have very few things to contribute, but I will be focusing more on from the perspective of the special circumstances of Islamic economics and finance. Is there a way I can share my screen?
Yeah, I think it's best you share from your end. So I will just.
Sometimes it is blocked, so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah. Are you able to share though? I'm not sure of the permissions. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's coming.
Okay. Just let me unshare and then reshare.
Prof, we can see your slides. Yeah.
You are seeing the slide or no slide?
Yeah.
Yes.
We can see your slide.
Okay. So this is the topic, and Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. All of you are seasoned teachers, educators, trainers, etc. So there is nothing new over here, but there are certain things which need certain emphasis in the context of Islamic economics and finance. And these are 6 points that I would like to focus on. One is giving the purpose to life. I think this is quite important for students of Islamic economics and finance, because they are not here just as a graduate of any other program, because each nation has their own priorities. And I mean, I'm sure in Malaysia, Indonesia, Pakistan, everywhere, their curriculum is designed for national priorities, and they inculcate norms which are useful for the country. But Islamic economics and finance needs a special thing, that unless you are working for a purpose, as soon as you graduate, maybe you will lose the touch. So this is quite important, that is that we need to develop. And in this strong belief that Islamic solutions are the only solutions is quite important. Of course, all solutions are Islamic, unless explicitly prohibited. So, but to exert your energy with the belief that solution lies over here is what is needed for graduates in Islamic economics and finance. The second point that is needed in all such programs is to educate on the subject matter. And here there are certain things that we need to, I mean, this is not new that I'm talking about, but the new thing that I want to talk about is that every subject needs a context. Without the context, if we try to educate people, we educate, but they don't become relevant. And one of the issues is to create the quality graduates. One of the issues is to create employability, etc. I will not focus on creating employability just by providing particular training. That is important, of course, that will be done in all universities. But the focus over here is that each subject matter requires a context. And unless we deliver the subject matter in that context, people will not get it, or people will not able to excel in it later on. So teaching in old context makes graduates irrelevant, and teaching in the current context makes graduates relevant, useful, and contributors to the progress. For example, in the old context, we have, when we learned economics, we understood the theory, and the ability for its further development depends on knowing the past economic development and based on arguments that took place between, for example, scholastics, mercantilists, classicals, new classicals, how they were arguing, and what is the Islamic perspective in that. So this was the motivation, and this was the force that was clarifying ideas. Similarly, arguments between Keynesians and monetarists developed the subject because it brought in the policy perspective. On the ideological front, it used to be between Marxists and capitalists. So where Islam fits in and how we are teaching Islamic economics and finance, that used to matter. So I'm not saying that these are not important. These are still important, but the context is changing, and we have to be with the new context. So now the world has changed. The issues may be the same, but the context is different. For example, the new issues are debt promoting versus entrepreneurial economy. It is no more a Marxist versus capitalist, etc., those deep debates, but what are the issues that come up of the high indebtedness? And these are the policy issues. How can we teach the economic theory, not only application, but economic theory based on that? Sustainable versus unsustainable economies, these are the hot debate points. And there are people on both sides. So what is the Islamic point of view and how the theory is developed? More importantly, moral values-based versus secular and liberal values-based economics. I mean, these days it is not it is not that much a issue of capitalism versus socialism, but the issue of the secular values versus Islamic or other moral values. Secularism also has their own values. For example, don't bother with others. Everybody is free to do whatever they want to do. So these are the secular values. How you teach economics in the context of the moral values as opposed to these kind of secular values, and how you compare. So that comparison will be important in teaching the subject matter. Similarly, the issues which are coming up because of the digitalization, digital versus the physical economies, etc. So we have to teach economics in the new context. There are many other contexts that I have not mentioned over here, but the point is that we need the new context in which we are teaching. As I mentioned earlier, that on the 6 points, there is one to train. And we all teach in our economic programs the skills and tools of the profession, like we teach statistics, we teach mathematics, we teach econometrics, we teach the latest techniques. So that is a must that will continue. But what emphasis is needed is that the curriculum should be, I mean, I see the difference between approach in the US as compared to UK, and I'm sure you are also aware of that. The curriculum in the US is focused more on problem solving approach, and curriculum in the UK is more focused on specialization, writing and presentation skills. So both things are important in their own context. For Islamic economics and finance, these two things are together important. We cannot ignore one for the other. So breadth and the problem solving approach is also needed, and a narrow specialization and writing approach is needed as well. These were things which were during the studies, but after the studies for a quality graduate, for employability as well as to create an impact, what is important is that they remain in touch with other graduates. So create a chartered group of alumni to stay connected, advise and advocate for Islamic economics and finance wherever the graduates go. Because I see this thing that at least I graduated from International Islamic University, Islamabad. And after 30 years, because of WhatsApp and other groups, we are joining together. And we find that many of us, although they graduated with intense Islamic economics programs, etc., but they are working, majority are working in conventional, or some of them have developed their own strange thoughts which are not conducive to Islamic economics and finance. And the reason may be that they didn't remain in touch with the program, and they were drift away with the forces of the market or forces of the whatever thinking was going on. So keeping together after graduation and creating systems for alumni, just not for connected, and that's just for as a social purpose, but for advice, for advocating the things is also important. This helps in employability also. This keeps the purpose in life alive, helps and in continued learning from each other, and improves the quality as a group, and increases the impact of the group of Islamic economics, because Islamic economics and finance is a new subject. If you want to change, this is there to make a change in the world. If you want to make a change in the world, you have to coordinate. It is not possible to excel individually in certain field and make a change. No, unless you are creating a group around you, unless you are creating followers and leaders and co-workers around you. So that is, I think, is important. We have so many cases of success stories, which we can call accidental leaders, or leaders by efforts and practice, or leaders who came because of training by others, or they got trained by circumstances, but they are individuals. What we need is to collect such individuals and keep them cohesive in a group. So this is what is important, because we need, these are the same six points that I recaptured over here: giving the purpose, education in the context, training up to the mark, providing ethics, instilling ethics in the students, and making them explorers, because everything is Islamic unless it is prohibited. So they should explore other things, be engaging with other fields and other thoughts to learn what is going on. And most importantly, we have to create who are change makers. They are not simply excellers or just fitters in an employment, but the change makers. And change makers are developed because of a sense of purpose and as a sense of responsibility and a sense of group feeling. So this is all what I have to take. Thank you very much. Jazakallah khair.
Thank you very much. Exactly on time. So that was very impressive, alhamdulillah. So it's good to see another framework being presented, especially on the last slide there. And I think what we'll do is we'll move to the next speaker because we're running out of time, and the idea is to try and get as much out from the Q&A session as well. And Dr. Bayu, hopefully you're here with us now.
Yes, yeah.
Sorry about that misunderstanding. Not sure what happened, but I've already introduced you, so everybody knows who you are. Don't worry. So
Okay.
please, you can start with the presentation right away. Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the opportunity. I ask permission for share my screen. Okay, hopefully you can see my screen.
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah. Okay. I've given topic of nurturing quality employable graduates in Indonesia. So probably I just want to share the Indonesia experience on nurturing graduates, especially in Islamic economic and finance. So in Erlangga, so especially in our university, this is the three main graduates profile that students must pass, or we need to equip students with these three profile. First is Islamic economic, financial and business analyst. Second, entrepreneur, Islamic business and startups. And the third one is Islamic economic and social finance planner. Since the technology has changed and students need to equip with these skills, so we try to ask them to masterize these three skills, these three profile before they graduates. And some of the alumni of our program in many organization, in government, in private company, so not only in Indonesia but also in overseas. And this is because in Indonesia, especially, they introduced the independent study. It's been 3 semesters now. So students after 5th semester in Erlangga in Indonesia, they can pursue the study in different organizations. So not in our uni, but they can do internship in the company. Government also support with the open applicants, yeah, for students in government institution, in central bank, in financial regulators. So students can do the internship, can teach also in the school, can do the research activity, and can convert to credits in their semester. So after 5th semester, in semester 5th, 6th, and 7th, they can convert all the activities in independent study to credits, and after that they can do the project paper, then graduate. So how we nurture our students? So through the curriculum, so we redesign, since we need to adjust with the government policy of independent study and infrastructure. Of course, we need to support them with the access of database, access of journal. And our lecturer profile, especially in Erlangga, most of the lecturer background or research is on social finance, like microfinance, zakah, wakaf. And we also invite international guest lecture, student mobility, independent study by the government, various student activities through student center and career centers. And also we really encourage students to follow or to join the competition. So this is the 3 years back, our map of international student exchange and guest lecture. So we invite from the US, from the UK, and we also sending students to Morocco, to the UK. We also invite students from New Zealand, so they came to our uni to learn Islamic finance and agribusiness. So every year, like next year also, students will come also from New Zealand. So only during pandemic they are off, and they spend in our uni sharing with our students. Even they are not Muslim, but they learn how to do business with Muslim, how to do business with the Islamic scheme. And total from 2018 to 2020, around student inbound around 344 and student outbound 314. And for the independent study, we also, this is by the Ministry of Research, Technology and Higher Education. There are some program, yeah, for the independent study. So it could be exchange, certified internship through Indonesia International Student Mobility overseas, sending overseas student to overseas, certified independent study, humanity project, can do by research, building village, or campus teaching program. So these kind of activities can easily convert to credits, and students may graduate with this experience. These are some pictures of our independent study. So some students do the humanitarian project, some students join the central bank, some students join with Microsoft to learn technology as well, and can convert to some of our courses. And these are the alumni profile from 2018 to 2020. So average waiting time for graduates to get job less than 3 months. This is about 60 to 70%. And for the professional students working in the government and in the regulators and also in the private company, and also for the entrepreneurship, for the entrepreneur, some students also running their business for service industry, production, and also trading, farm, online shop, etc. And average salary for our students around 60-70%, 1 to 1.2 times from the Indonesian average salary. And this is field of work. So I've mentioned this. Some of them also continue their education to some university in the UK, also in the Madinah, yeah, also in Australia, and then they come back and become academics in Indonesia. So I think there is sharing from Indonesia. So I just want to highlight that the Indonesia government now introduced the independent study. So not only studying in the university, but students really encouraged to do internship or teaching or humanitarian project. And sometimes they also receive allowance from the government, from the company. Then after that, converting to credits in our program. And this also not only for Airlangga, but for all university in Indonesia. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Michael Salam. Really appreciate the way you manage your time there. We're able to make some back. And I think the way that your institution is tracking, the movements and, the later aspects of what the students are doing, I think is very useful. And I think it makes the whole idea of, impact relevant again. Like, what is the impact of being in Microsoft? What is the impact of being in this industry from an Islamic point of view? So very interesting inputs there. We move to our fifth and final speaker, who is Dr. Muhammad Sharif Al-Amri, who is the Assistant Professor at Istanbul Sabahattin Zaim University. Presently, he's working as an Assistant Professor at the Faculty of Business and Management Sciences, Islamic Economics and Finance Department. He completed his bachelor's degree in Islamic Studies from Ibn Tufayl University in Morocco. He obtained his master's in Islamic Jurisprudence and its principles, while his PhD in Islamic Banking and Finance from International Islamic University in Malaysia. He has industry exposure to and experience in several Islamic financial institutions internationally. And he's also a member of various international journal editorials and reviewer panels. He has several research publications and presentations in the field of Islamic economics and finance. So with that introduction, I invite you to start, Dr. Sharif. Thank you very much. We can see your slides. Can you hear us? Can you speak? Dr. Sharif, can't hear you. I think you're muted. Oh, we still can't hear you. I know. Still no audio coming through.
Maybe he needs to go to the microphone, and maybe there are few options. Choose another option in the microphone, within the microphone. If you click the small arrow under the microphone, you will get several options.
Can you hear me now?
We can.
Can you?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Clearly?
Clearly.
Okay, thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Now,
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. So can I continue if it's clear?
yeah, sure. Please start.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, thanks for this chance actually to speak in this an excellent program about nurturing quality and employable graduates in Al-Maghrib countries. And here I mean by Al-Maghrib countries, Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Mauritania, and Libya. And I will cover in my presentation an overview of Al-Maghrib countries and also overview of Islamic finance in these countries. And lastly, I will talk about Islamic finance education in these countries and its challenges. So basically, I prefer to start with the overview of these countries and also Islamic finance industry in these countries, because unfortunately it's not given enough attention. And unfortunately, when we refer to all the writings, basically we don't find anything about these countries, even though there have been actually a lot of work which has been done there in these countries, as well as there was also a lot of attempts to start Islamic finance there, even before actually the Gulf countries, even before the Southeast Asia and so on. So unfortunately, this region is not given enough attention due to different reasons. So first, if we talk, when we talk about these Maghreb countries, the 5 countries, the population of these countries is more than 100 million currently. And when we speak about these countries, especially about Islamic finance in these countries, if we take, for example, Morocco, there has been actually a lot of attempts since actually the establishment of the Moroccan Scholars Association in 1961. There has been basically a call for the ban of riba and also the introduction of Islamic finance products. And since then, basically, there have been also various attempts to introduce Islamic finance products which didn't get authorized by the authority in the country. And in that, also in Morocco, you find the establishment of the Islamic Economics Association as early as 1989. Also, when we speak about the about the establishment of the Islamic finance industry, especially the Islamic banking and so on, so we find that the first attempt was in 2006, where the Central Bank of Morocco authorized conventional banks to propose alternative financing products based on several contracts. And but the real start of Islamic finance was basically in 2010 with Dar al-Safa, but only after the issuance of the law in 2014 and also 2015, the law of Islamic banking as well as the law of securitization. Only then we find basically the real start of the industry. So where we find basically in 2015, the central bank has basically authorized 5 fledged Islamic banks and 4 windows, basically to authorize Islamic finance products. And also in 2018, the Takaful law was introduced and issued, and also 6 Takaful companies were licensed basically. And currently, and since the establishment of Islamic banks in Morocco, the growth, the annual growth of these basically industry was at almost 40%. Coming to Algeria, it's also, there was an attempt in 1929 by Ibrahim Abul Yaqdan, who basically proposed to the colonial power at the time, the French colonial power, to establish the first Islamic banks, but basically it was rejected. We find also that the first Islamic bank established in the country was in 1991, which is Al Baraka Bank in Algeria. But unfortunately, also Algeria started very late. Only in 2020, we find that the Islamic banking and takaful law was issued, and also at the time there are many licenses which have been granted to establish Islamic banks and windows there. So now currently we find that there are 11 banks and windows offering Islamic finance products. And the market share of these basically Islamic finance is 2% of the total banking assets. And also in 2021, we find that there was an executive order which was issued to establish the National Waqf and Zakat Office. In Tunisia, also it has started early. In 1983, we find that Al Baraka Bank was basically established as an offshore Islamic bank. But also the real start in Tunisia has started in 2010 with basically the establishment of Al Zaytuna Bank, which became the first onshore Islamic bank. And also it was followed by the establishment of other banks. Now, currently they have four full-fledged Islamic banks with a total assets of 2.5 billion and market share of 5.1%. In Mauritania, we find that also there was an establishment of Al Baraka Bank in 1985, which also failed later. And in 2010, the ISDB established an Islamic bank with the Turkish bank. And later on, we find there was an establishment of 7 other Islamic banks. And the big challenge which is facing in Mauritania so far, they don't have any regulatory framework which is governing the industry. In Libya, it's also started in 2010. Also in the 2012, there was the issuance of the banking law, which was amended and included a section about Islamic finance. In 2013, there was a ban of riba, and all the banks, they were actually required to convert into Islamic, and 5 banks, they were granted the license. And as you know, due to the instability in the country, so Islamic finance did not progress well until now. Coming to why I started with this background about Islamic finance, because it gives us an idea. One of the main challenges which is faced by the Islamic finance industry basically in these countries is actually the lack of human resources, So therefore, I'm coming to the second part of the presentation, which is about the Islamic finance education in these countries. So Islamic finance also education has started somehow, if we talking about proper academic programs which are offered by the universities, we don't find that started earlier, but only we find that mostly started in 2013 onwards. Morocco has gone through basically 2 stages if we want to classify the introduction of these kind of, if we want to talk about Islamic finance education. So the first one was basically kind of subjects which are offered in, especially in the Sharia or the Islamic studies faculties. So we find that all those faculties, they were basically offering the subject of fiqh al-mu'amalat as well as Islamic economics course as an optional course, basically. And there, also there was different, of course, theses, especially the PhD and dissertations that were written on Islamic economics topics in different, basically, universities in the country. And those studies, basically, they remain conceptual and theoretical. But after the crisis in 2007 and 2008, the financial crisis, and of course, Islamic finance started gaining popularity, then the university started thinking of offering programs in Islamic finance. And therefore, we find in 2013, some universities have started offering this kind of programs. So currently, we have about 20 academic programs which are offered in different universities. And one of the interesting, actually, case which could be studied, and I'm thinking that it is successful, actually, case which has to be studied by other as well universities from other parts of the world, is the initiative between ERTI and the University of Muhammad V, where they established actually the Islamic Financial Engineering Lab. So this lab basically was established in the engineering faculty or school at Muhammadiyah School of Engineering. And it is very interesting. This lab basically aims to prepare students to develop state-of-the-art agent-based simulations programs, as well as to conduct research to create and test new Islamic financial instruments and identify how these instruments can assist the economic development of the ISDB member countries. This is an interesting, actually, case. Currently, there are actually, they have a lot of graduates from this lab, basically. So we find a lab at the engineering school, which is basically working on Islamic finance. So this is a very good, actually, initiative, which we don't find it anywhere else, basically. So this is about Morocco. About Algeria, also we find that, especially in 2020, there are many universities which are offering basically Islamic economics and finance programs in at different levels, undergrad and postgrad. The same goes to Tunisia as well. And here we find Zaytuna University is leading in that. In Mauritania, they have 7 universities which are offering now undergrad and postgrad programs in Islamic economics and finance.
Sorry, Dr. Sher, sorry to jump in. How many, maybe 2 more minutes? Can we wrap up?
Yeah, sure. In Libya also, they have different universities which are offering Islamic economics and finance. So the last part which I want to talk about, which is actually the challenges of which are faced by these kind of programs. The first, these are common, basically, these challenges. The first one is that there is no consistency and clear standards in offering those programs. So we find some of those programs, they are offered under the Sharia faculties. That means the focus is only on the Sharia subjects. Some, they are offered under the economics faculties, where we find also the focus is only on economics and so on. And some, they are offered under the schools of business, and some, they are offered under the law faculties, where we don't find any harmonization, basically. And this leads actually to the lack of the job opportunities for the graduate of these kind of programs, because of the because they are not meeting the needs of the industry. And this is very crucial, basically. And another challenge, which is also very serious, is that the lack of the qualified specialized professors, especially those who combine between the Sharia, finance, and economics knowledge. And the last challenge is the lack of textbooks, because sometimes we're talking here about programs which are offered in different languages, like, for example, Arabic, French. We don't find, basically, in these countries programs offered in English. So there is kind of lack of textbooks which can be used in these kind of programs. And this basically affects actually the productivity of these and the contribution of these programs actually to the industry. With that, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Sharif. Salam. Sorry for rushing you there at the end, but quite a good overview of what's happening in the Al-Maghrib region. I like the way you did the whole, the demand supply mismatch and, what needs to be done. So it really sets, things in context. So we've heard all 5 speakers and, presenting their ideas on what quality graduates should be like and how we should move forward. We move to the discussion session now. Hopefully we can allocate about 10 minutes for this. I know it's a bit little, but let's see how it goes. So maybe we can start with anyone in the room. Dr. Aslam. Yeah, sure. Sorry, it's better if people can hear you. If you raise your voice enough, probably. You have one mic.
Thank you very much. My question to Dr. Salman Said Ali. Dr. Salman, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Doctor. Thank you very much, Dr. Salman. It's an interesting sharing, because I like the way you put educating the subject matter required context.
But I'm hearing you very low voice. So can you speak loudly so that I can hear the question?
Can someone unmute this?
The thing isn't working. The mic. Dr. Sam, yeah.
Is it my voice clear now, Dr. Salman?
Yes, it is.
Dr. Salman, is it clear now?
Yeah, it is clear.
All right, all right. Thank you very much for the interesting sharing. I like the way you put educating the subject matter required context. You were discussing the old context, the new context. You were talking about this scholasticism versus materialism. My question to you is, how do you see this issue in the context of teaching Islamic sciences for Islamic economic students? Do you think that they deserve to know the old context and the method scholars in the past, or is it sufficient enough to learn from the new context from our Islamic economic scholars in the present? Is there any requirement of synthesizing these both contexts? I hope my question is not out of context.
What I understood from your question is that most of the Islamic studies content is taught in the context of the classical fiqh and how you can create the context for economics, right? This is a question. This is what I understood from your question. So my understanding is right or wrong, just let me know. Can you hear me?
Yes, doctor, now we can hear you now. Yes. Could you please repeat your answer? Sorry.
Yeah, so I mean, of course, the fiqh books or fiqh al-muamalat books are written in a different context. That is no problem. But once you teach a student about, for example, a certain Sharia maxims and how they apply, then at that time, what are the current examples where we need to apply and see what will be the result of that? Maybe in the finance, maybe in economic dealings, maybe in international development issues, and those applications will be important for student to understand them and relate those things for those applications. And that is where the teaching will come. I mean, that's where the learning will come or education will come for the student. And if that relationship is created, if this context is created while we are teaching, then further development is possible. Otherwise, people learn in compartments. This is fiqh al-muamalat they have learned, and now this is what they have learned in economics. And when they try to apply later on in their life, they find difficulties, and at that time there is no time for discussion. The discussion and learning time is, I mean, is more available during the university years. So if in the classroom those contexts can be made and discussions can be made, that will be useful.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any other questions from the floor? We've solved education.
Assalamualaikum. Can you guys hear me?
Salam, yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, one
Okay.
request I asked Brother Amiri to stop sharing so that we can see the people. I cannot see who's talking because the slide is on.
Oh yeah,
Oh, okay, right.
true.
No. What am I doing? I know.
So, sorry, my question is on the slide. I mean, it's about Dr. Sharif's presentation. Maybe he can just still stay on or perhaps up to you lah. I mean, my question is, can I ask?
Ask.
Yes, Dr. Sharif. I think the lab approach in Morocco is really unique. So how do you get the engineers working on that? I mean, how do you bring in the engineers? Do you have any knowledge on that? How do you bring the engineers in, and also the finance, those in the finance world, those teaching finance in the lab? Any problem in doing that? Because now you have interdisciplinary approach there. This is where I think is quite unique. So can you share a bit more on the that particular approach?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yeah. Basically, as I mentioned, that it is an important and a case which has to be studied well. Basically, I don't have much information about it, but from my reading, and also I know some colleagues there. So basically, they have financial engineering and lab. So where the students actually they have also together with ERTI, they have a simulation programs and everything where they are basically trying to come up with products as well as to test them and so on. So they are actually of course the lecturers together with ERTI, and of course they have students who are registered there and they're working on this subject.
Can I make a comment on that?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Brother Amiri. This is what happened because I was and Dr. Sami were in the board in the beginning. So we have certain information from the beginning. The initiative started in this that there were few lectures or few presentations that were made in Morocco, basically Islamic finance teaching programs that were taking place. And in that, we realized that there is a potential over here because this engineering lab was there and they were already working on different projects, and they were into finance. They were moving into finance. So why not to bring into their to information that these are the Islamic finance issues that are there to tackle and use their faculty. So this is how the program started, and the faculty was also trained on so-called Mamla type of thing, and they were motivated. And basically, it was mostly taught by their own faculty. Some intervention by IRTI and outside speakers on occasional basis. And they have a program was created not of teaching but of the tasks or the issues or the questions which needs to be solved using financial engineering. And since they were very good at computer programming, they excelled. And the dean over there, as well as the directors of the program in this university, they helped their students a lot and provided good mentorship in terms of guidance, in terms of supervision. So several PhDs have come out from there and several publications came out in the good journals which are technical publications. Some of them are, I mean, from Islamic perspective, they may not be 100% right, but they were thinking of the students that were implemented into programmable things. So this is the story of that. Thank
you. Thank you, Professor Salman. And I believe actually the association has to bring also all these experiences together to come up really with the good programs to be offered in different universities. Unfortunately, so far we don't have this kind of really collaborations and coordinations which can actually benefit from all these good experiences that we have in different countries. So I hope that the association will take that into consideration.
Right, okay, thank you very much. Are there any other questions from the floor or even in the group? Yeah, anything from the floor here? Yeah, sure.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm Shahida from University of Malaysia. My question is to the Bayu or from Ustaz Alhamdulillah. You can hear me? Dr. Bayu from University of Malaysia.
Yes.
Okay, Dr. Bayu, hi. I believe this is the first time we met, but I do appreciate all the colleagues from educators from Malaysia because the curriculum design that you now have been following present is very interesting. I think it's very flexible, and I think we should in Malaysia do a benchmarking and visit in the high institution for that. My question is that do respectively have a dedicated standard program for this curriculum? I mean, the Islamic Economics curriculum. Because in Malaysia, we have a lower standard for Muamalat and Islamic Finance standard program. Do you need to follow any standard in this regard? Thank you.
Thank you. I couldn't hear clearly, but I got the point. Yes, for our curriculum, so basically we just redesign our curriculum to adjust with the government policy. So as I mentioned earlier, for the first and second semester in our university is for university characteristics. So what is our rectors, our uni want the students to be, and then for the third until fifth semester, that is for the faculty and for study program in Airlangga. Then after that, the student is we encourage students to do the independent study, so they can join the program from the ministry and then also from the initiative of our faculty of our program to have a partner with industry or maybe with the school, and student can do the internship, teaching, or humanitarian job or activities, then convert to the credit. And for the your question, is there any standard for Islamic finance? Basically, there is no certain standard in Indonesia, but we do have association of public university, association of university under the Ministry of Religion Affairs. And this association, sometimes they have the consensus to have a certain standard of courses that agreed by all universities under this association. And another thing is every 5 years, we do have the accreditation under the Ministry of Education and Culture in Indonesia. And of course, they will ask whether we benchmark, whether we join the association, whether we have the consensus among our association. And this really encourages the university to share with the other university. Another thing is some regulators, some government institutions such as the Committee for Islamic Economic and Finance in Indonesia, they do have the standard. They trying to establish the standard of courses for the university, but this not compulsory. So this is not compulsory for all universities, but of course, like I mentioned earlier, so we do have the association. Then our association voluntary sharing the courses, and among that association, we agreed what characteristic that should be addressed by the public uni, by the uni under the Ministry of Religion Affairs. So I think hopefully this one answer your question, Doctor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions? Any other questions? No. Okay, so I think that's a cue for us to move on to the next session, which is session 2. And for this, as mentioned earlier, we're going to have 10-minute speeches for each person, each speaker. And so the first speaker will be Associate Professor Dr. Nizam Barom. He's the former director, Center for Islamic Economics, IFIEFE. And Dr. Nizam obtained his PhD in Islamic finance at the Durham University in the UK. His expertise extends to the theoretical as well as the applied fields of economics, including Islamic capital markets, the Malaysian economy, and Islamic macro and microeconomic theory. He has several research grants under his belt, including from the Maybank and UNDP. Dr. Nizam's most recent achievement involves the scaling of Mount Kinabalu just a few days ago. Right. Okay. I will just have to set up the slides. So give me a minute.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So, alhamdulillah, we are now moving into the second session. My role is to provide background and some context for the second session, which will basically be the discussion on the action plan moving forward for Islamic economics and finance education. My presentation would focus on the issues that have been discussed for the past three symposiums, the 5th, the 6th, and the 7th. By the way, the report on the 7th International Symposium on Islamic Economics and Finance Education is in your folder, so you can refer to the full report in the folder. And those who are joining online, you are able to download the report from the Federation website, which I believe the current director of Norma will be sharing just after this session. Just a little bit background on the international symposium. So the importance of Islamic economics and finance education has been highlighted with the institutionalization of the discussion in the conference series, starting with the 7th International Conference on Islamic Economics and Finance in King Abdul Aziz University. And since then, we always have the education symposium being organized in conjunction with the conference series. In 2016, IIM hosted the 11th ICIEF, and the resolution of the conference pronounced the establishment of the International Federation of Islamic Economics and Finance Education, with IIM Center for Islamic Economics being designated as the secretary. And since then, we took the mandate for organizing subsequent symposiums together with the host institutions and other communities. That's what we are doing today with the host institutions and universities. Okay, there are two basic areas of discussion during the symposium. The first important area is study development of Islamic economics and finance education around the world. And secondly, the discussion will be focusing on certain themes related to issues and challenges in Islamic economics and finance education. Example, if you look at the first area of discussion, we have presentations by experts and educators throughout the world. For example, we have the presentation just now by Dr. Sharif, and we have, for example, the 5th symposium presentation of Malaysia's education landscape as well as in Indonesia. And in the most recent one, in Jakarta last year, we had presentations covering Malaysia, Indonesia, Pakistan, North Asia, Saudi Arabia, as well as Turkey. So the developments of Islamic economics and finance education in all of these countries and regions are available in the full report that you can find either on the website or in your folder. Okay, in terms of the issues discussed during the national symposium, on the 5th symposium, we talked about the development of a curriculum framework. On the 6th symposium, we talked about the teaching materials and curriculum development. And on the 7th symposium, we talked about the future direction of Islamic economics and finance research. And some of the issues that are discussed, for example, on Islamic economics and finance curriculum framework, because of the proliferation of Islamic economics and finance program all over the world, we have seen an increasing variations in terms of the program offered. For example, Dr. Sharif just now presented on the fact that programs can be offered by different departments from law, from economics, from finance, from Sharia, and therefore they have differences in contents, differences in the way how the contents are taught, differences in nomenclature and so on. So all these require some harmonization. So the curriculum framework that was developed on the fifth symposium tried to capture all of these potential variations, taking an inclusive approach towards harmonizing all of these different programs. And as a result of that, we came up with an 8-point principles of a general curriculum framework, which I have highlighted in this slide, but you can go to read in detail from the report. It's going to be available from the website of the Federation. In Istanbul, there were two issues being discussed, which is on teaching material and also the need to support education through proper research. In terms of Islamic economics education, it was highlighted that teaching materials could be textual oriented rather than analytically oriented, and therefore there must be a need to incorporate this aspect. In terms of the Islamic finance, there is a concern on the fact that Islamic finance education is more training rather than education. So there is a need to develop a critical base in Islamic finance education, providing solid ground for the industry to follow, rather than the other way around. The industry is dictating what is being taught in higher education institutions. In Jakarta last year, we had the discussion on the future Islamic economics and finance research, because we thought that research needs to support education, and therefore there must be a way how we can systematically prioritize and collaborate among the providers of Islamic economics and finance education to provide the needed research support to provide the contents and good input to the curriculum development. And in addition to that, there are also a few other areas, for example, training of the educators, and also in terms of harmonization of the curriculum framework, which are also some of the themes being discussed in the previous symposium. So moving forward, we think that Islamic economics and finance education is very, very important to support not only the industry, the Islamic finance industry, but also the overall development of the Muslim Ummah. And therefore, one important area that we have not given enough emphasis from the past 3 symposia is the area of graduates and quality graduates. So that is why the theme of this symposium, which is on nurturing quality to come to
Both of them are. It has to be one.
Yeah, I unmuted from here.
Okay. Now we may continue. Yes, yes, all right.
Okay, so, and finally, we may want to take stock of the current development in various regions. And therefore, we can have a global survey and global report of Islamic economics and finance education. Okay, that's all for me. I believe Dr. Mark is the current director of the Higher Institute for Islamic Studies, which is the education. Is how to developing this. Thank you very much.
Assalamu warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Right, thank you very much, Dr. Nizam, for shedding some light on the previous symposium so that we have an idea of continuity. The next speaker is also from IIUM, Professor Dr. Norma Muhammad Saad. She's the present director of the Center for Islamic Economics. A little bit about her. Professor Norma started her career at IIUM as an assistant professor. Her areas of specialization are international trade, Islamic economics, Waqaf and Zakat, and Islamic finance, specializing in Islamic microfinance. Her teaching and research have focused on Islamic banking and finance, intra-trade patterns of major economic blocs and their impacts on regional integration. She's also actively doing research on the area of Islamic economics and finance, investigating the efficiency of corporate entities in managing Waqaf institutions in Malaysia and other selected countries. Her most recent project is ITAJIR, which has to do with entrepreneurs, bringing up fledgling entrepreneurs and startups. So it's a very interesting thing to look up. So without any further delay, I'd like to pass the floor to Professor Norma.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yasak, for the introduction. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. To all the esteemed participants of the 8th International Symposium. So my colleague Dr. Nizam has talked about the main activities of the Federation, highlighting the 5th, 6th and 7th Symposium. So I will just continue with the activities done under CIE as the Secretariat of the Federation to contribute towards nurturing balance and quality graduates, as well as contribution in the Islamic economics and finance area in general. Yeah. So I will be showing the participants here the website of CIE for the benefit of those who are not familiar with CIE. So it is a Center for Islamic Economics, yeah. So which is established under the university, under International Islamic University Malaysia. So at the Kuliah of Economics and Management Sciences. It is actually it started as a research unit, yeah. So as Islamic Economics and Policy Research Unit, and it serves as a network collaborator in terms of linking research, training, consultancy activities of the Kuliah with the wider community. Yeah? The activities undertaken by CIE includes conceptual, theoretical, policy research. In addition, CIE also conduct training and consultancy programs, yeah, for both academics and industry players in Malaysia and also international. So let me just show some of the strategic partners of CIE. So basically, these are the institutions that we have worked with in the past. Yeah. So especially under the tenureship of Prof. Aslam as the director, and continuation after that is Dr. Mustafa and Dr. Nizam. Dr. Nizam first and then Dr. Mustafa. Basically, we have worked with the ministry in Malaysia, Ministry of Education, the agency in Malaysia, Department of Statistics, and then many international organizations. For example, let's say ISDB, SASRIC, IRTI, and then we have also worked together with ISRA, for example. Now we are working together with INSEF. And then we also have some Islamic banks that we have worked with, we have projects with. We have quite a number of institutions from Indonesia. Yeah? I remember under the tenureship of Prof. Aslam, I mean, there are many programs, done together with the institutions in Indonesia, universities in Indonesia. So we also work together with UKM, where the Shaida is coming from, and then also other university. Yeah, and then University Istanbul Sahabatin Zaid University in Turkey, and also the societies and associations under IIUM. Yeah. All right. So under the website of CIE, we have created a special section for the federation. Basically, so this is the bullet indicating the information that we have basically uploaded on the federation. So it has 3 subsections. The first one is background. So this is has been basically explained by Dr. Nizam just now about the background of the federation when it was established. Yeah. And then here also we have uploaded the support letter, from the founding members, basically endorsing the establishment of the federation. Yeah? So this was issued by the International Association for Islamic Economics. Yeah? And the president is Prof. Dr. Tariqullah. So again, endorsing the establishment of the federation.
Did you not share or was it looking? This one.
Close this. Close this.
Oh, close the viewer, is it? Oh, it's a preview. Okay, hang on. Just click on the, yeah. How did you? This one.
The bar. Okay.
Okay. This part right here.
Maybe at the bottom is better.
Yeah. See how you got just.
So okay, this is another support letter from King Abdul Aziz University. So it is from the Islamic Economics Institute. Yeah. So again, expressing the willingness to be the founding member and also providing full support for the establishment of the federation. And also supporting the Center of for Islamic Economics to be the secretariat for the federation. So this was signed by the Dean of the Institute, Dr. Abdullah Turkistani. So another support letter is from the, at that time, IRTI, now ISDB Institute. So again, endorsing the establishment of the federation. This is quite long because it includes also the primary objectives and functions of the federation. So this support letter was signed by Prof. Azmi Omar, who was at that time the Director General of IFTI, and he joined us shortly at the beginning of the program just now.
All right, so this is the history, of the establishment of the federation. And then the second subsection, we have the activities of the federation. There are many tabs here, so I'm just going to show two. This one, if you are interested to read the full report that has been these are the highlights that have been explained by Dr. Nizam just now. If you are interested to read the full report, you can get it from here. Yeah. In terms of the activities, current activities under CIE, so we have the online short course. This has also been mentioned by the Dean just now. This is, we call this the Certificate in Islamic Economics. It is jointly organized, by the Chupa IT of East Asia, CIE, Departments of Economics, and Kuliah of Economics. So if you click this, you can get the full brochure of the program. All right. So basically, it commences on the 7th August, and it will run until 23rd of October. So we have every Sundays we have this course almost 4 hours. So again, the Dean mentioned that many people have registered for this course, and regularly around 300 to 400 people would be listening or attending the class on Sunday. So these are the schedules if you want to take a look at the detailed topics that have been exposed or covered in this course. You can browse later. All right. Okay, so that's current activity. Also in this section of the federation, you can have you can see basically the constitution, the articles of association of the establishment of the federation. You can see the founding members, and then the objective, the function, and then membership is open to institutions. So basically we have given in the file, in the folder, a membership form. So if you are in the capacity to, for example, to decide whether to become a member of a federation, you can basically leave the form with us after the program. So you can check the details of the constitution. Am I fine already? So
no membership fee.
oh, right. That's the most important. No membership fee at the moment. Maybe in the future we will charge. I think that's about all. Gallery, we put information about today's program basically. And so that's current, past and current activities. Future programs, we plan to do or to organize teaching and curriculum workshops. So maybe we'll select, let's say, certain areas in economics, maybe international economics or development economics, and we'll discuss in the workshop how to teach courses in this area from Islamic perspective, for example. And also project in, let's say, teaching materials project. So what we do in this project is that we want to produce teaching materials or supplementary book, so in different areas of economics and finance to complement the conventional current textbook. So in the presentation of Dr. Sharif just now, he mentioned that there is lack of textbook. So this project can actually contribute toward having more choices and options, for example, of reading materials when we teach Islamic economics and finance. So we are looking for collaborators to carry out these projects. So we are happy to collaborate with the institutions represented by our participants today. So if if you're interested to be working with us, maybe we can discuss after this, at length maybe. So I think that's all from me. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Thank you, Prof. Norma, for updating us and making us familiar with the CIE website. All right, so there's a slight change in the schedule because Dr. Sultan has something very immediate to attend to. With the permission of the other speakers, we've reorganized the order. So next, I will invite Dr. Sultan Amir Hidayat. He's the Director of Education and Research at the National Committee for Islamic Economy and Finance, otherwise known as CONNEX. He obtained his PhD and MBA degrees in Islamic finance from IIUM. He was an associate professor and head of business school at the University College of Bahrain. Dr. Hidayat has published a significant number of research papers in reputable international journals. He's also known as, he's also an editor for many journals. He has published several books and contributed chapters also a notable number of books. He's also an Islamic finance journalist. So Dr. Sultan, if you're ready, yeah, you're there, I can see you. You may start your presentation.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Rizad. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So is my voice clear over there?
Very clear.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin wa bihi nasta'in ala umuri dunya wad din wa salatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in amma ba'du. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. First of all, I would like to thank the organizer for inviting KNIKS at this prestigious symposium, and please allow me to discuss few important points from our side. If it is possible for the organizer to display my slide.
Just give me a moment.
Yeah, while waiting for the slide, I would like to introduce KNIKS. KNIKS is a government institution mandated to accelerate, advance, and develop Islamic economy and finance in the Republic of Indonesia in order to strengthen the national economic resilience. We have four functions. Number one is to formulate recommendation related to Islamic economic and financial sector, and also formulate and propose strategic programs related to Islamic economic and financial sector. Number two is to coordinate, synergize, and synchronize the stakeholders' activities in Indonesia related to the development of Islamic economy and finance. And number three is to propose a solution to any problems related to the development of Islamic economy and finance in the Republic, as well as to monitor and evaluate the policies implemented and also the strategic programs being implemented. At this moment, I would like to discuss about the need for strengthening ecosystem and infrastructure of Islamic economic education. Next slide, please. There are a few issues and challenges at the moment, and some current development within the education of Islamic economics and finance. Next slide, please. Among them, we can see that there are global trends and the future of learning in universities, not only in Indonesia, but also in other parts of the world. Among them is technology. We know that technological disruption has impacted actually, or has been impacting all sectors, including the education sector. And secondly, we know that there are different changes in the socio-cultural, in the form of demographic changes, socio-economic profile of the world's population. Like, for example, in Indonesia, at the moment, if you look at the Indonesian population, it is at the moment is dominated by productive ages or young population, and also all over the world, you can see that life expectancy is getting longer, and there are many people who are now already beyond actually in the past it's called productive ages, but now they are still considered to be within the productive ages. And also we look at the environment in which the issues of ESG, environmental social governance, are becoming very important. And then there is an increase in demand for renewable energy and also alternative energy, and sustainable efforts on environmental issues are going on all over the world. Next slide, please. Yeah, as a result, there are now changing in terms of labor skill needs by industry. According to the research done by Ministry of Education, Research and Technology, as well as higher education in Indonesia, now there is a shift in the types of skill needed by the industry. Now industry needs more problem-solving skills, social process skills, as well as understanding the system very well, skills. So these are the three skills that are highly needed at the moment. Yeah, and the number keeps increasing from time to time, and it will be needed more in the future. Next slide, please. Yeah, and also the way the working environment
Mr. Tan, are you with us?
Different. For example, of work in Indonesia, for example, as a result of the implementation of Halal Assurance Product Act or law, there are new jobs created. For example, halal supervisors, halal auditors, and as well as other types of the jobs, because in the implementation of Halal Assurance Product Act, these professions or this type of job are required in order to speed up or in order to get the halal certification. As well as at the moment, there are multi-generational and diverse workforces within an organization. For example, within KNIKS, if we look at the executive director, he is baby boomers, and now the fresh graduates who entered KNIKS and becoming analyst 5 or the first entry in KNIKS, they are actually Gen Z. So at least there are 4 generations working together within KNIKS, and this is becoming common everywhere in other part of the world. And now working is more flexible in terms of time, in terms of your presence. This is an example of flexibility. I am now in the car on my way to the airport, and Alhamdulillah, thanks God, I can join you and share some of my insight with you. And then also at the moment, employees have more control over their career path. Yeah, you cannot tie the employees. Yeah, they are. Now they have more freedom to determine their future. And digitalization and automation have simplified our daily work and have connected us efficiently. And also you can see that massive access and data processing is becoming very important. Data provides better understanding of behavior and the quality of work. Next slide, please. Yeah, according to IFDI, Islamic Finance Development Indicator 2021, published by Refinitiv, as you know that there are there are around 1,008 Islamic finance higher education providers around the world, and it is mentioned also in the report that Indonesia has the biggest number of Islamic finance higher education providers. So for that, Indonesia is ranked first out of the number of Islamic finance education and higher education organization according to IFDI. And also the number of Islamic finance research paper produced by all countries is around 2,878. Yeah? and Indonesia is ranked number 2, yeah, for this Islamic finance research according to IFDI. Next slide, please. Yeah, here are some strategic initiative for the development of ecosystem and infrastructure in KNIKS. As I have mentioned earlier, we are government entity mandated to accelerate the development of Islamic economy and finance in the country. However, we are not the regulator. We are actually more towards or more suitable to be called catalyst, yeah, catalyst of the Islamic economy and finance in the Republic. Next slide, please. Yeah, we have come out with a framework of talent ecosystem design, which is a part of our talent management roadmap, which has been prepared, yeah, and including the action plan for 2 years, 2022 until 2024, in which, if you can see there on the supply side, we would like that the universities, training institute, professional certification body, we want to identify and map them that they are going to provide some level of competencies, yeah, from the basic until advanced and then becoming an expert to fulfill the demand, not only Islamic financial institution in the form of Islamic bank or non-bank financial institution, or also Islamic microfinance institution, as well as zakat, infak, sadaqah, and awqaf management institution, but also to fulfill the demand of halal industry players or halal industry producers, as well as to become an entrepreneur in halal industry. And also, we want the Indonesian labor market later on, not only to fulfill the job within the domestic market, as well as to actively participate in the global job market. Next slide, please. These are the focus areas within the supporting infrastructure of Islamic economy system. Number 1 is to enhance the literacy for Islamic economic and financial program, as well as improvement of excellent and highly competitive human resource within Islamic economy. This is what we are focusing on this symposium, because we are discussing about education. Next. And there are 3 cluster development program. The first one is alignment and development of Islamic economics cluster learning curriculum. I think Dr. Bayu has mentioned about our initiative, one of our initiative with the Association of Islamic Economics Academic Programs in Indonesia, APSEI, in which we came out with minimum standardization of the curriculum. Yes, we cannot force universities to follow, but we signed MOA or Memorandum of Agreement with the universities for them to adapt or adopt our minimum standardization within their academic programs. And we also we are doing also harmonization of Islamic economic cluster academic programs within higher education. Maybe this aspect is more relevant than the other 2 clusters in this symposium, in which in Indonesia there are more than 800 academic programs related to Islamic economics and finance, yeah, and with different nomenclatures, starting from Islamic economics, Islamic management of Islamic finance, Islamic banking, and even management of zakah and awqaf. We have academic programs specific for that. However, it seems that there is a room to harmonize them, and we have done the job, and we have given our policy recommendation to the Ministry of Religious Affairs, yeah, especially in the universities under Ministry of Religious Affairs. They have too many nomenclatures in order for them to reduce the number of academic programs into at least 5 academic programs, and to harmonize them and to make the all academic programs, if they agreed, of course, to become concentration within these 5 academic programs. And these 5 academic programs have been agreed by the Vice President as our Executive Chairman. Next slide, please. Yeah, beside that initiative, we are also developing roadmap, or we have developed roadmap of human resource and talent management with the vision in 2024 to realize human resources who are professional, superior, and globally empowered to improve the performance of the Islamic economy and financial sector with 4 missions. And I guess I'm going to share this slide. You can read later on. Next slide, please. Yeah. In order to support the independent learning policy of Ministry of Education in Indonesia, KNIKS, in addition to the minimum standardization, because the minimum standardization, which consists of number 1 is common intended learning outcomes, and then 10 core courses, and then the syllabus for the 10 courses, and also the textbook. At the moment, we have launched 3 textbooks. Two have been finalized and soon to be launched, and 2 are under process. We hope that within 1 year to come, we are going to finalize the 10 textbook of the 10 core courses. And then we also come out with guidelines. In Indonesia, the independent learning allows the students to conduct independent learnings for 3 semesters in total. In the form of 2 semesters, they can do outside activities, outside campus activities. Could be doing community involvement projects. They could do also as well as research. Yeah, community involvement project in the form of project in villages, for example. They can do also student exchange. They can also do internship, and even they can do also entrepreneurship activities. So KNIKS have come out with the guidelines for to help these students to conduct their independent learning, or here we call it Merdeka Belajar. Yeah. For example, if they want to go to conduct project in villages, there is a guideline on how for them, for example, to enhance the villagers' literacy towards Islamic economics and finance. They can also help halal industry producers with in the form of small and medium enterprises in the village on how to diversify their product, on how to enhance their packaging and other things. The guideline also help them to do that. Even small thing like, for example, how to train the masjid management on how to manage their financial affairs more efficiently. Or there is also a guideline for that, including also three short what do you call one, kultum, yeah, or short preaching, yeah, preaching for them to give preaching in the village about Islamic economics and finance, and also 7 modules related to entrepreneurship based on Islam, based on Islamic teaching, as well as a guideline for them to conduct internship within Islamic financial institution, within Islamic, for example, social finance institution, zakah institution, or even within the government entity related to Islamic economics and finance. Next slide, please. My last slide, yeah. That's what I can official. If you want to know more about KNIKS, please follow us on our Facebook as well as Instagram, and as well as our Twitter. And don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel, Komite Nasional Ekonomi dan Keuangan Syariah, and you can browse on our website www.kniks.go.id to know more about the development of Islamic economy and finance in the Republic of Indonesia. Thank you very much. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you, Dr. Buddha. Hopefully you can catch your flight on time. Thank you very much for giving us an overview, very multi-layered and multi-dimensional framework that they have. Very interesting to see. Without any further delay, let's move to the next speaker, who is Associate Professor Dr. Iram Sabah. She's the Program Director, Institute of Business Administration, IBA. And Dr. Sabah has more than 15 years of progressive regulatory research training and teaching experience with organizations of international repute. Currently, she's on deputation from State Bank of Pakistan, which is the central bank, to IBA Karachi. She is assistant professor in the Department of Finance and program director of Masters of Science, Islamic Banking and Finance at IBA Karachi, Pakistan. She has the honor to be the first Pakistani female to be part of International Sharia Advisory Board in Southeast Asia and the Middle East. She delivers trainings both at local and international levels, in addition to teaching, research, and administrative work. She has written several articles and chapters in books on the topics of management, corporate governance, Islamic finance, and Islamic microfinance. So very qualified. Anyway, let me pass the floor to you, Dr. Iram, if you're ready.
Thank you so much. Yes. Can I start?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to all of you. First of all, thank you so much for the invitation and for arranging this wonderful session. I heard presentation of our respected colleagues previously, and it's a great forum. With this, I would like to start the topic that was assigned to me for the discussion on today's, in today's event. The topic that was assigned to me is basically related to nurturing the quality and employable graduates in Pakistan and South Asia. Before moving towards the topic directly, let me just explain a little bit about Pakistan. Pakistan got independence in 1947, and the full name is Islamic Republic of Pakistan, which means that, and according to the Constitution of 1973, the state should implement Islamic economic system. And the country was taken on the basis of, living life with Islam. Having said that, as of today, when we talk about Islamic financial system in Pakistan, we have only 20% of the banking as Islamic, and the rest is still conventional. And if you talk about insurance, it is less than 2% of the total insurance industry. I'm talking about Islamic insurance. So this is the background regarding the industry. But when you talk about when you talk about the graduates, since the beginning, we try to bring brilliant students in different institutions. And even as of today, when I'm talking, being the program director of MS Islamic Banking and Finance at one of the oldest business school in Pakistan, that is Institute of Business Administration, Karachi, IBA, we are continuously working to improve our student intake and to make sure that the students are absorbed in the market as soon as possible. Now, what we need to do, how we can make sure, how we can nurture the quality students, and how we can make sure that they are employed as early as possible in the countries like Pakistan and South Asia. The first and foremost important point is of strong academic knowledge. Now, what happened is that in my experience, we get students from 3 different dimensions. The first one is we get bankers, industry people who studied like 10 years back, and then they want to continue for Islamic finance education. The second group of students that we have is Sharia scholars who want, after their Dars-e-Nizami, after their Sharia education, they want to have MS or MBA, so they come to us. And the third group of people is of youngsters who completed their bachelor, but they want to continue with MS. Now, when you talk about the bachelor students, they are okay, because they recently studied. But when you talk about the people who are coming from Sharia background, sometimes they lack their quantitative, skills, and they lack into subjects, for example, like corporate finance. And on the other hand, we have people who are coming from industry who studied 10 years back. now they want to shift from conventional finance to Islamic finance or for a better job placement. So due to these three reasons that we noticed for our program specifically, that they joined this institute. Now, in order to make sure that the students are absorbed after the MS degree properly, we need to ensure that the academic knowledge is up to the mark. And the curriculum, we need to make sure we have courses from Sharia and we have courses from the, you see, other aspects of the knowledge as well. For example, if you talk about the core finance, core research, you talk about the latest courses. So we try to include that. Now, the first part is regarding the curriculum, because people are going to check how strong they are in their knowledge. But the rest of the items mentioned in the list over here are related to improve students as a good, quality resource. Now, one of the important point is that the creative and critical thinker. So what we face is basically why students are facing some problem, because they get good marks and when it's time to depict the knowledge that they have received at the academic institution, they lack. They cannot provide the thinking that is needed at the institution. And an institution, I mean that the industry. So industry do make complaints that the students are not able to perform. And the third point, which is of teamwork. As an individual candidate, they are doing excellent sometimes. But when you ask them to work in team, then they are not able to cooperate. They are not able to work together. So nowadays, the students should be adaptable because the things are changing very rapidly. So in order to make sure that they keep their place and they continue performing well, we need to instill the, characteristics or qualities like teamwork. And the next point is related to teamwork, that is the communication skill. So sometimes we face a problem that if somebody is coming from accountancy background in the program, they are not very good in communication. They lack the in communication skills. But for a job placement or for performing better in the institutions, you need to be good communicator. You need to make sure how you can share the information with your counterparts or with your colleagues. So we are working, I will show you what we are doing at IBA in the next slide. But the characteristics that is most important right now is of teamwork and communication skills. Related to that is professionalism. Another problem that we are facing, not only in Pakistan, but also in other countries as well, that is lack of professionalism in students. So being part of the huge infrastructure that is IBA, they get the job. But sometimes they reach to office late, they make excuse. That is specifically, we run through some survey and we found that the students, they lack professionalism. This is the feedback coming from the industry. They might be good in academics, they can perform better, but they don't understand the working culture of the institution. And moving forward is of leadership skills. Leadership skills, most of the students are focusing due to the COVID-19. For the past 2 years, the students who are going to graduate recently, they do lack leadership skills. Why? Because they were not able to perform on the ground. The classes were online. And next is the digital literacy. Students need to update themselves in terms of their knowledge, not only from the academic perspective, but also for the other areas. For example, if they want to work freelance or they want to do some other activities, so it's good for them to understand how important it is to have a digital literacy, the understanding of the latest tools and techniques. Last but not least, not all the students should be given the knowledge like they have to go to the institution. They can start their own entrepreneur businesses. They can come up with their own ideas, and we have seen there is a change in terms of the student mindset. They are getting, say for example, 2,000 ringgit at a bank job, but they can earn like 3,000 ringgit from a freelance job, and they are the boss of their own, or they can launch their own company. So some of the elements that, according to me, in my research that I found is through the experiences, they need to have a strong academic knowledge. Not only that, they should be a critical thinker. have the leadership skill, teamwork, communication skill, digital literacy, entrepreneurship ability. They are able to think out of the box and provide solution to the people. Now, again, when I talk about the strong academic knowledge, if you see the why students are not able to cope up with the pressure at the in the industry or not able to perform, the reason is there is a gap between the academia and industry. What we suggest is basically we need to reduce the gap. In Malaysia, the good thing is that most of the academicians are sitting on the boards of various institutions. And this helped the faculty to teach and give the latest example to the students and enrich them with the what is happening in the market. So reduce the gap between academia and industry in order to make sure that your students have the latest knowledge. We need to hire good faculty. I mean, when you talk about the academic institution, when you talk about the human resource issues, always there is somebody who need to guide them, mentor them, teach them well. So if we have our faculty who is on the toes, who are themselves avid reader or learner, and they want to make sure that their students perform well, so we have to focus on the faculty as well. We need to provide them the latest tools that can help them to enrich their classes. Another point for the quality student is basically employability is of quality student. Now, when you talk about quality student, how you are going to ensure that you have a good student in the university. Focus on the quality student intake. I remember that most of the students, they come to me and they say that we have done degree from this and this university. Can you help us with the job placement? And sometimes students, they are not choosing the right institute, and most of the cases universities also loosen the you see criteria when they want to take the student. There are number of institutions who are just taking students like 5,000, 6,000, 7,000. But when you talk about the quality of the students, that suffer. So if you take student 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 in one batch or for degree programs, where you are going to place your student, this is a challenging thing. And global mindset for the quality students or for nurturing them, we need to make sure that they understand about the local industry, but also about what is happening in the global industry. So local mindset, this is the term that we use at IBA, that introduce students to the local market, also to the local market, and let them think out of the box, not only for the country, but also for the world at large. You need to take, and the last point for this particular topic is you need to take students out of their comfort zone. They are very comfortable with their own institution where they are going. So we send students for the exchange program from Pakistan to other countries. We organize study trips, we use variety of learning methodology. The simple way, sometimes we assign a course on edX that you go and take that course over there, and we will include 20% marks in your evaluation process. And it is mandatory in our institution to take students for every course at least one time out of the class to any industry. Say, for example, if we are teaching corporate finance, we can go to a company and visit the CFO and have a lecture from the CFO in their premises. This is the simplest thing that we can do. And guest lecture, inviting people from all over the world is the other thing. Now, this is one of the way to take care of the students and make sure that they get job placements. Once your teacher is sitting on a board, they can also make sure that the students are taken part of, in that institution as well. Moving forward, what are the action plans taken by IBA so far? Very recently at IBA, we have decided about the student intake, that we want to make sure we get the top 30 students, whoever apply at IBA. So in some of the courses at IBA, the student intake ratio is only the student intake is only 11%. So say, for example, 100 students apply, we take only 11 students out of 100. Now, slowly and steadily, we are trying to make sure that we implement the same percentage, 10% of every 100 students we take in our institution. And right now, when you talk about specifically for Islamic finance, the ratio is slightly higher. Why? Because this is a specialized degree program. If you talk about MBA, with having 1 or 2 courses of Islamic finance, that is fine. More people join those programs because they have the free space. They can go in any institution. But a student who is taking specifically Islamic finance degree, they have lesser options in order for the job market. Now, student intake is one thing on which we are focusing for the testing and interview. During the student intake, now it is compulsory at our institution to make sure how are their communication skills, how they conduct themselves during the interview. So interview is mandatory for all the MS students. The second point is because we have applied for IISB, and our full-time faculty is now we are giving more courses to the full-time faculty. We do have a blend of the part-time faculty who are coming from the industry. So we need to make sure what a percentage we need to have for the full-time, because the full-time faculty members can work more closely with the student. They give more time, whereas the part-time, sometimes they are missing classes, coming late, and there are some issues. Okay, so when you talk about the third point, at IBA, what we have done is the collaboration with industry and academia. So we are making sure we collaborate with regulatory authorities and Islamic financial institution, international collaboration. I am very happy to share that we have a collaboration with INSIF, and our students, they are able to take 2 courses at INSIF. We have signed an MOU, and due to COVID-19, we didn't send anyone, but now we are going to revise that MOU, and students will be able to take courses in any university. For our undergraduate student, recently one student took a course in University Malaya, and I, checked the course outline. So we are very flexible. If our students want to go to France, Germany, Japan, wherever they want to study, they can go for 1 semester and take courses over there. So collaboration with other institutions, we send students to Bahrain specifically for Islamic finance. They visit different institutions, IOFI and BIBF, CBB. Similarly, we are planning for more collaboration with other countries. This is very important, introduction of the new courses in the curriculum. Just now I got a question about the digital literacy. So what I meant by digital literacy from the Islamic finance perspective is that students who are coming from a Sharia background, they are more habitual of having a book in the hand, and they understand if they have a physical presence of the book. So digital literacy is quite diversified. You can do some online courses from IFIEFE or any other, even from IIUM, you can take online courses. You become habitual of taking the online reading materials as well. And apart from that, you can continue, making sure how you use, like Dr. Sudan mentioned, use of Twitter, social media platforms in a productive manner. You can do some online courses and YouTube and etc. So for the online new courses, now we allow our students to take 2 courses from any other field. If somebody wants to learn about sustainable finance, they can take it. If they want to know about macroeconomics or monetary economics, they can take it from the economics department. So we allow students. Recently, our students are taking a course on fintech, which is new for them. So they are very happy. Or if they want to take artificial intelligence, they can take it from the computer science department. We allow them. For the job placement, we bring the industry to IBA once a year. We are very well known for providing the human resource. All of our students are hired immediately after completing their degree, and most of the time they hired during the semester, even in the second semester. We have incubation center at IBA, so students can launch their ideas and run their own business. We have a very strong student body. We have IBA Center for Excellence in Islamic Finance that is launched by the State Bank of Pakistan. We focus on international collaboration, but right at the moment when I'm talking, our focus is more on the student's soft skill. If you talk about their experience in terms of academic knowledge, they are good, but sometimes they lack presentation when you talk about the soft skills, specifically for MS students. International collaboration, we are open. Right now, we are hiring international faculty because they can teach online. They don't need to come. If they want to, we can arrange for them. So this is the right now action plan at IPA. With this, thank you so much. I understand we are running short of time, so over to the moderator, and once again, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ira. I'm sorry for rushing you, but we want to have a separate discussion afterwards, so that's why. So let's quickly move on to our final speaker for this session, who basically does not really need an introduction, as he's a very high-profile figure in Indonesia at least. He is the Deputy Chairman of Ikatan Ahli Ekonomi Islam, or IAEI. He is also the Director of Basnas, and which is basically the centralized Zakat Association in Indonesia. And he's an Associate Professor at the Institute Pertanian Bogor, IPB. He is also the commissioner of the BWI board, which is Badan Wakaf Indonesia. So he recently, and incidentally, he recently won an award from Bank of Indonesia for being the best activist figure in social finance. This wasn't in his profile, but I'm just adding it there. So we have a great personality with us as well, alongside our other panel of speakers. And without wasting any other time, I'll hand it over to Associate Professor Irfan Shawki. Yeah, sure.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, salli ala Rasulil Karim wa ba'd. Very good afternoon. And this is the last presentation, and I try to make it as short as possible. And as has been signed by the organizer, I would like to share some of the proposed action plan for the continuation of our beloved federation. Because you know that any institution should have or should provide benefit and good impact, at least towards its members. So hopefully the presence of our federation can give positive impact to the members, and also it may attract more potential institution to become new member of the federation, so that the role of this federation can be more significant in the near future. And in this regard, next slide please. I would like to put the proposed action plan into three categories. The first one is the proposed action plan for education and research. The second one is related with the membership and secretarial aspect. And the third one, which is to me is also very important, and perhaps it may be also very ambitious, is to have international accreditation agency under this federation, because it is very important for us to improve the quality of Islamic economics teaching globally by setting up a certain standard that can be made as a reference, so that the presence of the accreditation can also be recognized by other standards institutions. And we may follow the pattern, the programs, the path that have been shown by other standards and institutions on how to apply systematic accreditation. Okay, next slide. On education and research side, I would like to propose three action plans. The first one is related with facilitating lecture and student exchange more systematically, because this federation has university, mainly as a member. Although we also have a member from the Islamic Convention, which is very good. This should be capitalized, as the basis for us to further improve the presence and the influence of the federation. So I think we should think about it, because in Indonesia we have applied the Merdeka Belajar, which is independent study. You can learn from anywhere, as long as you can manage the time and you can focus on it and you have evidence, yeah, proving that you have been part of that education process in that institution. So this should be facilitated, yeah, by this federation, because this is our advantage to have universities as prime member of this federation. The second one is, I think we also need to encourage, yeah, more joint research. Yeah, and the function of the federation is to be to play as intermediary institution. Yeah, intermediary institution. So why we don't promote this intermediary function? Yeah, to encourage more joint research collaboration. Yeah, in the field of, for example, yeah, we are now in the process, yeah, in Asia to have research on social function of Islamic bank and how can this social function be included in the assessment of health level of bank. So a bank is considered as a good and health and has a good performance when its social function running well. So is it possible? Because it is not in line with the current mainstream health assessment of a bank. This is an example why we don't have this kind of joint significant and fundamentally may change the system or may give strong influence. So I think this also should be played by the education. And the third one is organizing workshop, yeah, on curriculum is a must, I think. Yeah, we don't. I hope we are not tired. Yeah, we are not tired in this curriculum because until now, until we have an acceptable globally standard, yeah, I think then we can start. But until now, I hope that we don't. We should not feel tired. Yeah, to talk about this curriculum, although maybe it may have. It may, I mean, we have been discussing it for decades, but still we need to do that. That's why in this regard, next slide, our association, Indonesia has a lot of associations. Yeah. We have Indonesian Association of Islamic Economics. This is among the oldest, now chaired by our finance minister and as the vice chairman. Yeah, but we also have for the study program, they have their own association of study program. And for those who specialize in big mama, we have also association of big mama lecturers. Yeah, so we are a country of association. Many associations now in Indonesia, but alhamdulillah, they have their own objective. Whatever the things that cannot be achieved by this association, it can be achieved through the other association. And now what we are doing is how to harmonize this association. And as a result of this dynamic, you know, even in the nomenclature of our study program, also very diverse. We have Hajj and Umrah management. You will never find it anywhere in the world, but in Indonesia it exists. Yeah, at the bachelor level, Hajj and Umrah management. So and also halal tourism. Yeah, I think halal is okay. Yeah, but I mean, I just want to show you what this dynamics and we also utilize this as part of, you know, our endeavor to improve the quality of our Islamic economics.
We just approve a program, Hajj tourism.
Oh, okay. Okay. Because in Indonesia we have 11. Dr. Suparnendra just mentioned. We have 11 communications. Not only some finance. Next. Yeah. Yeah, and this is for the second one, membership and secretariat. The first one is database, yeah, strengthening member database. That is, yeah, because it has been used for hours. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so hopefully, okay, yeah. And I think this is very important, database membership. It has to be, in a very well manner. And number two is we need to expand our membership. Yeah, in Indonesia, we can facilitate the Indonesian Association of Islamic Economists. We have 306 universities as our members, yeah, with 800 study programs. So don't worry about it. So the number of the member of this federation can be increased by 300. With the involvement of institution only in Indonesia. Yeah, so don't worry about it. But we have to do that. And then benefits of membership. Benefit maybe not money benefit, but more on the knowledge and also the availability of reference and also the enriching discussion, enlightening discussion. This is also another benefit, when I'm here with all my suhu here, so I always learn something new. So this is, you can say, not monetized benefit. Yeah, I mean, this is a very, I cannot say something because the benefit is too big. Yeah. So, but this has to be, part of the package that may attract others to join us. That we are the association of many scholars with many different backgrounds, with many intensive debate in the literature, for example. This will give, encouragement, especially for new lecturers, etc., so that this will be the best way to attract more members to join this federation. And then number 4 is, I suggest that we need also to create working group for any specific topic that is going to be discussed. Let's say if you want to discuss about macroeconomic policy from Islamic perspective, why not we set up a working group? Yeah, we just replicate what has been done by FSB, for example, or IFIEFE, ILM, yeah, everything. They establish working group to discuss certain issues, and they come up with certain output that can be made as a reference. And this working group should be given, decision letter or something in written, so that it can be used by lecturers. Yeah, like in Indonesia, we need evidence. And that's why I asked interpretation letter, because interpretation letter can be used as evidence that I have contributed. And so this will increase, you can say experience and also something that will be benefit to the lecturers. And so creation of working group is very important. Next, and international accreditation. Yeah. I'm off. Check. Okay. Okay. Yeah. And next is on international accreditation. I think we should have roadmap on it. Yeah. I don't know 2025 whether it is ambitious or not, because it's just 3 years. This is just our proposal. We need to have this roadmap. Yeah. And then establishment of working group, yeah, to provide, direction, yeah, on how we achieve that international accreditation process, yeah. And of course, the next is coordination with strategic partner. Partner is also extremely needed, yeah, because we cannot go alone. And also, this is one part of, mutual recognition among the international accreditation bodies. Yeah, and I think some of the international accreditation bodies like AACSB, for example, that can be made as reference. At least from our side, there is an attempt or an endeavor to start to initiate this international accreditation process. And of course, it will be needed, yeah, by any institutions. I'm talking in Indonesia, for example, we are really, we do really need this one, yeah, this accreditation, because it will improve also, the reputation of the institution. And today, reputation is very important. And of course, one way to increase our reputation is to have this kind of accreditation. So we have to think about it, and we have to set up a roadmap to achieve this accreditation. I think that's all. Thanks, Mr. Hadi. Thank you very much. Hopefully, this is the proposed agenda, but I believe this may create, a change in our direction towards better. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shagi. I think the mic has died. Apologies to those of you online. You had mentioned that it was difficult to hear. It's because I think of the mic. So anyway, we're done with all the 5 speeches for the 5 presentations for the second session, right? And as a reminder, the second session, the idea was to develop a plan of action and work on a strategy. So the discussion should focus on that area specifically. So I'd like to open the floor to some ideas that we may have on, what kind of path we should take. I'm also monitoring the chat box, so if there's anything, you may mention it here, yeah? Anyone? Yes? Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much to all who have presented during the second session. So, and I also would like to thank Dr. Irfan for the proposal. So all of these proposals, I believe, are important steps to come up with a systematic approach to develop the economic and finance education. And I believe all of the things that you mentioned were part of our initial ideas for the federation. But because of the pandemic and so on, so things were not moving. And since you mentioned it, and you also mentioned as the vice chairman of IFIEFE with the support of 300 people, now we are very much motivated by this. And I believe the current director from Rama is also now very motivated to move ahead. I believe if we want to be serious in advancing this agenda, we need to have a proper committees for the federation. As mentioned, we can have working committees, right? Working group in different areas, but that will be on specific areas of research or curriculum development. We need to have also working committees in, for example, towards accreditation process. And then another working committees in terms of membership and databases and so on. So without these working committees, I don't think the things which that you propose can be advanced. So I believe the next thing that we need to come up with is the identification of people in these working committees and get these committees to meet and then decide on the direction moving forward. And you say 2025, right? Okay, that would be a good target. And what can we achieve with this? Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Dr. Nizam. Any other feedback to add on? I think Prof. Mansur, yeah. I think you probably just have to use your booming voice. But it's my voice not actually there's information overload.
Thanks a lot, and thanks to Khalifa. I think many interesting ideas. They have many ideas floating back almost discussions, but then the federation can take up and become a formal initiative agenda, right? And one of the things that has been raised before is one by Datuk Sri Sedani Ujak, he was at the Ministry of Education before, right? And one of the things that we observed in Malaysian context, and I think would be the same here, even globally when we look at Islamic economics and finance. Our expertise, we don't have any globally, but they are dispersed worldwide, right? Some in the quantitative, maybe in one institution, in the Sharia are good in the other institution. But then what I observed, for whatever reason, why it's so difficult for us to have a mutual recognitions of the courses, right? We would love if staff students can take one or two courses in IFIEFE, because the framework is there, allow us to translate back, right? Because they are spent there. And I think Indonesia has moved forward in terms of recognizing so many things that can be click transferred, even someone going out doing business, right? For one semester coming back, or go and teach in rural areas coming back. So this type of thing is good. But then perhaps it doesn't happen because we do not have institutions that coordinate the work. Right? Now you have memberships, right? And maybe we can coordinate these memberships. And one other thing that has been mentioned by my colleague from Ahmad bin is that we in Islamic economy and finance, we lack the program, postdoctoral program. Right? Of course, instead have 2 positions every year, but then in many other places, we lack those postdoctoral programs. And in fact, we need to establish that among our membership. In like what you have done in terms of exchange of students, exchange of staff, and so on. Right? And exchange of staff doesn't mean that staff need to move, right? But also recognition of courses. And now we have online, which we can basically leverage on for us to have more or less more cooperation between institutions or member of federations.
Thank you very much. Very pointed input. Anything else to add on? Yeah, there's a question for Dr. Nizam. This is from Muhammad Yasir Maulana. What could be done or had been done to improve the quality of lectures and graduate competencies? Quality improvement is mentioned in Dr. Nizam's presentation on future direction of IEF.
Thank you for the question. Actually, at the Center for Islamic Economics, we have been doing workshops on curriculum as well as teaching. So far, I think based on our report, we have basically done up to now 13 workshops. Of course, these workshops are done at the regional level, Southeast Asia, mostly in Malaysia, Indonesia, and I think a couple were done in Thailand, and this has involved, I think, around 300 educators of Islamic economics and finance, and the center at IFIEFE, which is now the secretariat to the federation, would commit to conduct these workshops in the future as well, together with the member institutions. We have workshops in Airlangga University, we have workshops in IPB. And so any institutions who would like to host such workshops are welcome. And in fact, because of the pandemic, we now know that we can do these workshops even online. without having to travel to different places. Yeah. And therefore, this would significantly increase the reachability of these workshops beyond the Southeast Asia region. And if, let's say, those who are interested to join the federation, they also join such workshops being organized in the future. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor, for the answer.
If anybody would like to comment, even directly without, typing, that's also fine. Go ahead. Any other comments or reflections on the future strategy or action plan on how the Federation can move forward?
I think what should we discuss is what will be the follow-up. The first thing to follow up. And then we have to discuss.
Yeah. I think maybe if it can be an open discussion, right? So maybe we can start with the basic framework. We can start with, okay, now that we are having this discussion, right? We can maybe set a target for the next symposium. Like, what is it we would like to achieve? And I think a few domains were mentioned earlier, right? One thing was that I remember is specifically in terms of the subject matter. And then there was another that we talked about where we were focusing on perhaps the soft skills, which are more general. And then finally, we can talk about activities and workshops, maybe which are more on the pragmatic side. So you can focus maybe on courses which are related to subject matter. And then we can also set some targets for soft skill development, interpersonal, those kind of things. And finally, we can also have some targets for specific workshops. Maybe we can do it as collaboration. Like we had the training camp, right? We had a lot of different members participating. So perhaps these three. So, yeah.
I think the immediate action that we can do right after this symposium is to send as much as possible invitations for institutions to become members. Yeah. And once we have this drive, we know our members, then we can ask our members what would they want to have in different areas. For example, if let's say certain institutions would like to have workshops on detailed macroeconomics or microeconomics or Asia, then we will try to see how this can be facilitated by the federation. Or for example, what Dr. Irfan has mentioned, the fact that they are working on the specific research on the indicators or benchmark for assessing the performance of banks and whether other institutions would like to join, particularly from other countries, for example, Indonesia, Thailand, North Africa, Pakistan, whether they would like to have a similar scope of research being also replicated in their own countries. So these are different possibilities that we can have. And also, we will also be having the same symposium next. I believe Prof. Aslam has the details on the next conference, the 15th conference, which we will also be meeting again for the next symposium. So we need to set certain milestones that we need to achieve before coming to that symposium next year. Yeah? What are the things that we need to get things done before that? I also believe we need to set a certain time for us to call for a meeting for all members. to discuss the next plan of activities. So these are some of the things that we need to decide.
I may suggest, first, regarding the membership, it's better for the secretary to have a meeting on membership in the website. And in that meeting, there has to be some procedure application according to the constitution. And approval or rejection. And then to make it more elegant, we should not make call for membership. Because if somebody is calling for membership, the reputation, we have reputation risk. I mean, we have to think about the way how to, to
Attract
campaign for this one. And in this regard, our association in has helped the federation, like we may circulate a letter, informing. So the request not from the federation, but we promote the federation for the universities to take part. But of course, that can be done when the membership menu is on the website. So I think everything now should be online, so I think it's very important to do that. And once they are accepted, what should be the next? We have to have a project. That's why we propose to have workshop, for example. Workshop on any subject or topics, which may be, like macro and micro and macro. It's very diverse. Everybody can define micro and micro according to his or her background. So you provide that what we call workshop. So all the members have the privilege to be invited in take part of that process. So this is just small step, but it's very, very important.
I think
this is just a suggestion.
I think these are great suggestions, but in the interest of two things: number one, time, and number two, missing out on what was discussed because perhaps we're being a bit hasty. I would maybe suggest that because we're going to derive a report from this, perhaps based on that report, each of us can sit and try and develop our own what we think is a good way forward addressing most of the issues possible, and then we can try and come towards a proper action plan that we all agree upon. I think that way we can take the merits and not miss out anything that was maybe said in the group. So perhaps like we can get some rapporteurs to get out a report, and then we can all act on it and then agree on what is a set of actions we would like to do by the next symposium.
No, we should not wait for the next.
No, as in what are the things we do have to do by then?
We set a time limit. We set a time limit, for example, 6 months. So after 6 months, what we need to achieve? Okay. For example, after 6 months, we need to have the membership menu ready, and therefore accepting a certain number of membership, number one. Number two, we need to have meeting among the members of the federation, the founding members plus the new members. And number three, at least we have one program running. For example, at the center, we are already having this 3 workshops planned for quite some time, but because of the pandemic, we are not able to do this workshop. So for this, we need to highlight that after 6 months, at least one of these workshops would need to be already organized, and then being offered to all of our new members of the federation. So at least if we have these 3 things happening within these 6 months, by that time, things will be moving forward much smoother. Yeah. For example, once we have that workshop where all the members are invited, then there will be more interaction and hopefully there will be more collaboration in other areas. For example, in terms of research, in terms of publication, in terms of other areas, in addition to the curriculum workshop that we will be having within that time limit. So hopefully by next year, when we have the next symposium, then we will be able to report many other activities and many more collaborative initiatives that can be done among the members.
Yeah, all for the workshop, one of the requirements is you have to be the members. You members and you can do the workshop.
Yeah. So for the first one,
So this answers the question, because there's a question from Muhammad Taqiyuddin. He says, is the membership of the Federation open for any institutions or universities? Do we just have to fill in the membership form from the IIUM website presented before? So I forward the question to the Federation members to answer. So one condition is there, you have, if you want to be part of the activities, then you have to join, but can they join just by filling up the form?
I think if I just add on this, Irfan said, there has to be a procedure of membership.
Yeah.
And so once you fill in the form, then at the moment, it will be the founding members that will need to just look at the application.
Yeah, yeah.
And as far as I know, I don't think anybody will not approve it, but there has to be that
Process. Yeah.
So as long as you are a teaching institution or a research institution, I think the constitution is taken out.
Yeah.
There should be no reason why anybody is rejected. I mean, could I just
Yes, sir.
it's really getting quite late and we crossed the time. Can I just maybe as part of that last bit of program get agreement from everybody? I don't think resolutions are going to be able to be made, in the way it's usually done.
Yeah.
So maybe if everybody agrees, we will look at, we will hear
the transcripts or the video. Yeah.
and we will try to come up with
Yeah.
resolutions, maybe in a certain time, in a month or so, and we will send it to everybody. Thanks to Prof. Mansoor for sending the list of participants with the emails. So we can actually send to everybody who was present in the conference, and even if they're not here today, the fact that they were in the conference, we can still send them some problem. So resolutions will be on that. I think as far as the action plan is concerned, which is maybe what I'm also very keen. I look around here, and with the exception of maybe Prof. Tariqullah, who was here earlier, I think I can safely say that I've been in more meetings like this, setting up of associations, discussions. In fact, I think Bogor declaration, we've seen it all. And Gappa was here, Gappa was here. You will remember Malacca when we organized this in Malacca. So a lot of meetings, a lot of discussions, a lot of good intentions, but then it doesn't seem to translate into something that is sustainable. And I think what Prof. Mansoor mentioned, the Federation, we do have also other organizations that but in this case, we can play the role of bringing institutions together. Wonderful, right? In fact, one of the reasons that associations don't work out is exactly what Dr. Irfan said just now. Immediately there is a membership fee that people have to pay, right? And then people ask, what do I get by becoming a member? And when the organization doesn't have anything that seems to be worthy, nobody joins, or they join for 1 year after that they leave. So we decided the Federation should be relatively
a loose federation. No fee, no central president, secretary, these structures. Let it be loose, let people, let institutions that want to organize activities, organize. And we can give the participation of our founding members and other members onto your, so it's a joint collaboration, and as mentioned, this matters a lot, right? So we can start that as a way forward. But I do agree, membership probably has got to be the first thing, people on board. And then we've already got certain programs that we have been doing. We just now extend it to these members, right? And everybody share the program with others. It's not a problem. If there's one thing that we keep saying in Islamic economics, that we criticize national economic ban. For decades, we Islamic economics probably behave just like the national economics. So with Prof. Mansour, we've had lots of discussions on, whether or not national needs this or that. Can we try to really, show that we can work together? Because in Malaysia, I think we are all thinking of our own institutions more than thinking of it together. So we can get a commitment from everybody here, whoever is there or still with us, that we will try to do this, and share resources. Sharing resources is something we can easily do. When Prof. Mansour is giving his lecture, if we can get an agreement, I can attend his lecture. And it's online now. So class from Bogor can be now broadcast to anybody all over. Then the next step is to recognize it as a course, right? And COVID, alhamdulillah, we now accept online, evaluations and so on. It just needs all of us to agree, we recognize that course that is being taught by Irfan or Mansour or Nizam or whatever. It becomes part of us. So this is really the way that we can move forward. IRTI, Salman has met. IRTI organized, it's there. Yeah. I remember IRTI had a distance learning program. It was going on for many years. And, we did get Durham and Tehran and IUF and, classes happening in different parts of the world. And I think one of them even included maybe Ireland or Bogo, I can't remember. But there was no formal agreement to recognize that course. So I think we have the ability to do it. It's just that I think we should all agree with what was proposed now, except that I really want 6 months is moving too far in the future. So I think if you say 6 months, it's going to end up just, we should have a more ambitious target. More ambitious target, but see it through. So we need to see it through, right? So I would propose that we start whoever is here, Saturday, I don't know, 1 month maybe, we want to call a smaller group.
Yeah.
Or even anybody who is in this meeting today, you got the email, invite them to attend online meeting for us to talk about, some of the ideas. Maybe before that 1 month, a smaller group needs to meet. This is what we want to do. So I would really propose Dr. Irfan, because he is the master of associations. I think Indonesia knocks us all. So we should have him to be there, and maybe 1 or 2 other colleagues from Indonesia. And we can open up if there's anybody interested to be there. I know. But whether also in Malaysia, Shaida is here, we can presentation. Hussein, quiz. We have another group with quiz, Dr. Latifah. Just tell me once. But she would be there, she's not again. So unfortunately, quiz has another group involved with something. So we can invite her to come in. So they are all, concerned. So I think that's what we should. We meet 1 month, we have a bigger meeting, but in between, maybe a few of us here, we meet and set the agenda for that meeting. And target 1 month. So we have something we want to achieve. We discuss with potential colleagues from other universities. And then membership form, I agree with you, probably can be done in a more effective way that they do. So we get our members, we have certain programs that we will decide in a month's time. And then, as Prof. Mansoor always says, just do it. When we say just do it well, just do it effectively. So not just do it, but effectively well. I think maybe that's
Yeah.
Refreshment will be.
Okay, all right.
But I just would like to give only to thank Prof. Mansoor for having this symposium.
Yes.
And also being here, you know, physically.
Throughout, yeah.
Because I didn't see anybody from inside.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much for those concluding remarks. And so we would like to bring this symposium to an end. And if you're interested, then you can contact us via the CIE website or Facebook, and I think our YouTube channel as well. I think you can, but yeah, probably go through the email and our website. Yeah, we'll be monitoring those more actively. So some of you who are expressing interest on you know, the membership and things like that, by all means, you know, please go ahead and contact us through there. Okay, so thank you very much. The more I say, the more the rapporteur will have to work. So we're going to bring it to an end. Thank you very much. Let's end the session with Tasbih Kifara and Suratul Asr. Right. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Stop recording. Yeah. Oh, do we have? How do we do an online platform? Is that how it works? Or?
On the camera, then we.
But anyway, there's. Yeah, I think. Unless we all come online and take a picture like that. Because it's not fair on.
Everybody go that side.
People that are reduced. Yeah. We do it. Unless we want to include the screen. Okay.
The chair. Okay, chair.
Dekat Also has to be seated because most so young. So please, yeah, please go. Yeah, we can always copy and put it somewhere. Photoshop.
Okay, everybody ready? 1, 2, and 3. Let me check. It's good. One more shot. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more. Thumbs up. Okay, thumbs up, everyone. Okay. All right.
Oh, wait, this is more camera. No. Yeah. You have to do the photo. Three more cameras, huh?
Okay.
Another one, Mak?
Tiga.
Photo we don't share. Huh?
Okay, 1, 2. One more shot. Get ready. Suddenly also quiet. Mana thumbs up? Okay. Okay, thumbs up lagi. All right. One more, last one. Okay, ready? Okay, thank you. Don't forget your phone. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.